Welcome, everyone. We're entering a world not so distant from this one, where the boundaries between flesh and machine blur into obscurity, and neon-lit dreams collide with steel-clad nightmares. Welcome to the electrifying realm of Cyborg. This is a Cyborg actual play campaign using the Cyborg OSR rules published by Free League Publishing. I am DG, the Game Master, and I'm ready to guide you punks, you gutter trash, through this capitalist nightmare that will grind your souls down to a fine powder and scatter it to the wind. Ah, punks. Got into and out of a junkyard, snuck away with experimental cyber tech, had the opportunity to sell out, and hand it over to a client who really could have done some shit for you. But you're the kind of brain-damaged losers who think integrity still counts in this city. So you stuck to your guns, got the job done, and now you're back to kicking shit in the gutter, making ends meet. It's been a couple weeks since that job in the junkyard, and your proceeds are already starting to dwindle. You're gonna need a new job soon, or else you're gonna have to find legitimate gainful employment. Luckily though, patterns come through at the last moment, and today is a unusual day. You're not meeting at Patton's surplus in the dead of night to make secret plans and do shady dealings. Instead, Patton sent you all a message saying that Ermac Ransom has a job for you, and he'd like to meet you at his usual spot, the Tech Noir nightclub. And so here you are, just shy of 4:30 in the afternoon. Most definitely what punks like you would consider being up too early. Even at this time of day, a couple hours shy of when darkness falls and the city really comes alive, Tech Noir is hopping. The dance floor is already swelling with revelers off their faces on a myriad of substances, their garish, brightly coloured clothing, flashing lights around them, bathing them in a neon glow. The air around you smells of sweat and urine and that sickly sweet smell of heavily watered down artificial fruit flavoured drinks that clubs like this peddle. You're ushered to the back of the club, past the dance floor, to Ermac Ransom's booth, and he's there waiting for you. He looks up as you approach, brushing a lock of his silver hair lined with streaks of pink from out of his face, straightens the collar and shoulders of his 1920s noir detective duster, and silently beckons for you all to take a seat. Hey, long time no see, he says, holding out his hand. Hey, waiter, 4 Neo whiskeys and, he looks over at Charlie and says, and a glass of oil. I remember. Somewhere.
How you been, buddy? Good to see you.
He reaches out about to take PU's hand and then flinches at the last moment, seeing it covered in its usual layer of grime and filth and muck. Instead, he just flashes a smile and he says, I see you're up to your usual tricks. I heard you've been busy. Jobs coming in now that you got a reputation. And I heard down the grapevine that you guys and gals are trustworthy. That you can, that even when somebody dangles a big bag of creds in front of your faces, you'll always come through and do the right thing when it counts, huh?
Well,
Right,
don't I
I
look
reckon
just... Sorry, go
ahead.
on, Frank.
I reckon it depends on whether we like the fella or not.
Yeah, Patton mentioned something. Someone tried to get in touch with you, the Shortfall Collective, and obviously you didn't like them too much, eh, Frank?
Bunch of fucking corpies.
Yeah, pass the name to me, look into some things, maybe hit up some of my contacts up in the hills. I gotta say, Shortfall Collective, maybe I don't run in the same circles as some. He glares over at Azure. I ain't much of a hacker, so, can't say I heard of them, but, the money they was offering you for a simple job like that, obviously they got resources where it counts, huh?
That they do.
But you made the right decision. You pulled through, you stuck to the original client, and, well, a guy like me appreciates that, especially with, the things we gotta discuss tonight. Oh, drinks! The waitress appears, carrying a silver tray, and as she approaches, the tray trembles in her hand, her nose wrinkles as she draws closer to the booth, and her senses are overwhelmed instantaneously by the miasma that surrounds PU at all times. She slowly lowers the drinks onto the table, and Ermac flashes her a wink and a thumbs up, depositing the creds into her account. If there's nothing else, dollface, off you go, toots, he says, and she turns and with a look of unmistakable relief on her face, scurries away.
You see that grimace? I reckon she liked me.
I think she liked the prospect of getting away from you, says Ermac.
Oh, Ermac, you're mean, buddy.
Oh, this one's yours, he says, sliding a plastic canister dripping with black oil to Charlie, who wordlessly takes it. Brings it up to his TV mask and somehow drains a mouthful, and then slides the rest of the canister under the table, where you hear Rusty loudly proclaiming, slurp, slurp, lap, 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 lap. Ermac eyes his drink for a moment, and then before he partakes, he reaches into his duster, pulls out a vial of his poison of choice. His pink chalk. He taps out a line on the table and leans over, snorting it up and then chasing it with a mouthful of Neo whiskey. His eyes immediately glaze over as he's lost in whatever wisdom it provides. And then, returning to normality, he drains his cup, slams it down, and says, So, tonight's the night. I just got the confirmation. You gotta do it now, otherwise it ain't gonna work, okay? The war with the Scorpions, I mean, of course.
Oh, yeah, those fuckers. Of course.
See,
Nice to be rid of them.
I apologize for, the last minute getting in touch with you, calling you here. I understand, you meet at Patton's shop, but he gestures with his head over your shoulders, and you follow his gaze across the dance floor to another booth near the entrance of the club, where you see 3 men, unmistakably members of the Scorpions, their Scorpion insignia emblazoned on their leather jackets. See, go ahead, P.U.
One of P.U.'s smock guns is slowly being raised out of his very loose pants hem as he looks over.
Keep it in your pants, P.U. They ain't gonna
First
do
time I heard
anything
that.
they ain't gonna do anything in a public place, not like this, but, they know I'm onto them, and I am onto them.
Didn't they leave your buddy all over the sidewalk? The one who owned the cafe thingy?
Yeah, Solitaire. Well, never did find out what happened to him. Whatever they did, they made sure no one ever heard hide nor hair of him ever again. So, needless to say, I don't want the same to happen to me or mine, so, I figured it'd be best to meet here rather than risking getting jumped on the way to Patton's or out of the store or something like that. I figure so long as we're sitting here, they're sitting over there, no one ain't gonna cause trouble. So,
Alright.
here's what I got for you. You remember that little girl I told you about, Emily McCauley, daughter of some big shot up in the hills? She went missing, right? And I airlined the Scorpions being responsible for it. So, I spent the last few weeks looking into things, trying to follow some of the leads I had left over, and, I think I figured out what happened to her. And that's what Solitaire was helping me with, and now he's gone, you're gonna have to pick up where he left off. So there's this place down in Laketon. A clinic for individuals dealing with nano-infestation called Origin Clinic. A hospital, a doctor's building, meant to be clean-cut, safe, welcoming. But in a slum like Laketon, place stands out. And, I wouldn't trust any doctor operating out of the slums if my life depended on it.
I can barely trust docs as it is, always talking about medically safe and sanitizing.
Yeah, they don't just rip you open for no reason and pump you full of crap no more. But
Doctors are
this
big on soap.
yeah, they're very big on soap, aren't they? So most certainly not your speed. And well, I figured the docs working at this clinic probably won't be your speed either. See, Emily McCauley, last anyone heard from her, she was a patient at this clinic. Looks
Shit.
like whatever she was dealing with, her nano problem, her parents in the hills, exhausted every doc they could get their hands on, any proper doc, and, well, they must have been desperate, so they turned to this place in Laketon. Booked her in. She went in for a couple days, never came back. And there's a whole string of other folks booked in too, never came back out. Now, where the Scorpions come into it is, well, I did my homework, and the clinic itself is owned by the Church of the Fideistic Transformation, corpo mega church, they're all about opening your mind, welcoming the future, understand the nano swarms, and embetter the human race as a result, right? But, for whatever reason, they got Scorpions running security at the joint. I suppose it's in the slums, you probably don't want to spring for a contract with UCS or nothing like that. May as well reach out to the gang whose turf you already built your establishment on. Makes sense to me. So the Scorpions are running security in this place, and, I got a feeling they're the ones responsible for the disappearances of the patients. Whether the church knows about it or not, the Scorpions are clearly doing something. That's what Solitaire was working on. See, that thing I had you gather from his bodega?
The data box, the little doohickey we pulled out, yeah?
Yeah. See, he was working on a piece of code, a little tracker doohickey. See, this clinic, their servers are on a private network. No access from the citywide net. So, me and Solitaire had a plan that someone was gonna sneak into the clinic, upload this little doohickey to their mainframe, and then we'd have a back door, we could get in, keep an eye on who's coming into the clinic, who's leaving, what's happening to them, maybe get a bit of an idea where these people are going, and what the Scorpions have got to do with it, right?
Sound enough, yeah?
So, I consulted the pink chalk, and the pink chalk says if it's gonna be successful, now's the time. See, they know someone's onto them, and they'll be looking at beefing up security pretty soon. So today's the day. They're open till 8 p.m. After that, security gets tight. So I figured maybe you'd slip in there while they're still open. You know, pass yourself off as patients, find some way to get in and get out again while security's light. And then no one will know anyone's tampered with their server, and, you know, right as rain, as they say.
So you're asking for a stealthy one on this one?
You know, if you gotta splatter a couple Scorpions, I ain't gonna complain, just, you know, make sure no one sees you put that data box, and no one sees you attaching it or uploading it or whatever you gotta do in the server room. He glances over at Azure and he says, I'm one step ahead of you, or rather Solitaire was. He had this in the data cache. He presses his button and a little message, a little envelope blinks up on the top right of your RCD. He's got blueprints to the clinic. You can take a look, decide what you want to do, decide how you're gonna get in and out. Either way, you get this job done for me, and after I subtract Patton's usual cut, let's say 1,000 creds in your pocket and 1,000 off your debts, any such as they are.
You're asking us to go after a kid in the middle of Scorpion territory at one of a doctor's office where they have soap. Is 1,000 really gonna cut it?
PU, go ahead and make me a presence check. You don't have persuade, so you can't add +2.
I could not believe that he would.
It's going to be difficult to get PU into a hospital.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to be able to get anything out of him with a 4.
You, Azure, you can also do a presence check if you like, and if you have persuade, you can add +2.
I don't, but I did roll a natural 20.
Ooh!
-2 is 18.
Hey, you know, fair point. He looks over at Frank and he says, big, bulky buggalugs like this is gonna stand out too.
Frank, meanwhile, is trying to reassure and comfort you, because Frank has no idea what's going on, but somebody said the word soap. So he knows that his friend is probably a bit upset and traumatized and triggered.
He sees the stunned look on PU's face. He's just rubbing his shoulder, tapping it.
He's probably patting his head whilst mildly concussing him.
Look, I ain't expecting much trouble once you get into the place, but you're right, getting these two in is probably the hard part, so, I'll bump it up a bit. 1,200 in your pocket, or 1,200 off your debt, you choose.
Yeah, better my pockets than theirs.
1,200 plus 1,000 off your debt. I'll have to cut Patton in an extra 10%, but you know, I figure if I can figure out what happened to this girl, I got a big paycheck coming in, so it ain't no water off my back.
Yeah, so to recap, the Scorpos grabbed the kiddo when she was full of nano, and now we gotta go and KO these drongos, yeah? That's it?
And upload this back.
Oh, and upload the thumbsticky thing.
Get into the server room, upload that, then we'll find out if there's a trail to follow. I ain't expecting the girl to be in the clinic, but if she is and you get her out, there might be a bonus in it for you.
So how much of a bonus do we get if we destroy all this soap?
The soap? Well, Frank, tell you what. If you determine that they're working on any special soap or anything that, is important to the Scorpions and their plans, and you can destroy it without making a big fuss, I'll cut you in another couple hundred creds.
All right.
We like destroying soap.
Yeah, no, my specialty, eh?
It gotta be to do with the Scorpion's plans, though. I ain't giving you carte blanche to just go in there and destroy the entire soap supply, okay?
Ermac, when have we ever led you wrong? I mean, now many single jobs are working together. We ain't never done anything wrong to you, so trust us, would you?
I trust you. What I don't trust is, PU and his aversion of soap, but... Well, all goes well, there shouldn't be much of a problem, so, finish up your drinks, and if there's no more questions, I suggest you get a shake on. You got a couple hours to get down there, scope the place out, figure out how you're gonna approach this before they close down for the night.
I reckon I just need to let you know the name wasn't Cardi Blanche. It was just Cardi B.
Hey,
She was a singer in New York City.
yeah, I think my grandma used to listen to that.
You gotta forgive how old Frank
wasn't
is.
Cardi Blanche.
Carte Blanche is a different thing. Don't worry about it, Frank. Just, if you see anything that you think is important to the Scorpions and you can mess it up without causing too much trouble, you got my blessing, alright?
Alrighty. Pio says, and he chucks back the rest of the Neo whiskey left in his glass. Shall we make our way to Axie?
Best of luck, says Ermac. And if you need a little extra inspiration, he reaches once more into his duster, fishes out a vial of pink chalk and slides it across the table to PU. Don't be afraid to consult the ancient spirits.
Apologies, sorry, I accidentally disconnected.
He slides a vial of pink chalk across the table and he says, if you need any more wisdom, don't be afraid to consult the ancient spirits, huh?
Oh, thank you, Ermac. I was wondering when you were gonna share.
Save it for when you really need it. Shit ain't cheap, but in a pinch, the pink glass will set you straight.
Do I look like someone who would abuse substances?
To be honest, I don't...
Don't answer that.
To be honest, it kinda looks like you wouldn't be able to tell what's an abusable substance and what isn't. You just shove it all down those metal jaws of yours.
Yeah, that's fair, he says, mid-chew on one of his used cigarette butts.
Frank is gonna lean over towards Azure and says, I reckon I'm real worried. I think our friend here thinks that Cardi B was somehow involved in the soap trade, and she wasn't. She was a rapper.
You never know what people had as a side gig. That would have been a long time ago, though, so I don't think we have to worry about it now.
Yeah, I don't even think they had soap back then, says Ermac.
The good old days.
I think people just walked around encrusted in their own filth. Sort of a traditionalist in that sense, aren't you, PU?
Absolutely. Now, come on, he says, launching himself off the bar stool. Now, Ermac, don't get strangled while we're gone, he says, flashing a look over to the scorpions in the corner.
Hey, don't you worry. I'm sitting here all night. I ain't leaving till I see them leave first.
We'll keep yourself pretty then.
Hey, waitress! Another drink! He shouts as you step away from him, disappearing into the congealing mass of flesh and color that is the dance floor.
As we're heading off to Axie, I'd like to take a look at the blueprints of the clinic.
Yeah. You press your finger to your temple and the message opens, bringing the blueprint of the clinic up onto your HUD, filling your vision. The building doesn't appear to be that large. There's a central atrium from which most of the facilities branch off. There's a waiting and reception area out the front, and then a big parking lot, fenced in, separating it from the surrounding filth-encrusted slum streets. You can surmise from the blueprint that getting into the parking lot, at least driving Axie, would probably require having to check in at the security booth. Most security booths, at least those attached to legitimate businesses like this, simply scan the vehicle's ID chip, log it in their database, and keep track of how long the vehicle was parked. Axie, of course, is stolen. The car itself believes PU to be its owner, but its ID chip would almost certainly flag in any database as being stolen.
Is there anything I can do to modify that ID chip's signature?
On how tight their security is. Remember, this is a clinic in the slums, so it doesn't exactly cater to the very best clientele, shall we say.
Though it was described as being out of place, though, wasn't it?
It was described as being out of place, so chances are the security is either functional but nothing special, or top-notch to protect whatever secrets this facility holds.
They're on the side of caution.
Aside from that, according to the blueprints, aside from the main entrance leading into reception, there's what looks like a large circular water feature on the edge of the parking lot, not far from what appears to be a fire escape or side entrance. And on the opposite end of the parking lot, there's a little alcove, which, according to the blueprint, contains nothing at all, save a vaguely rectangular-shaped object that might be a dumpster.
This space here, is that like slum buildings surrounding the space?
Blueprint isn't clear. There's big black mess of static surrounding the building itself. You're not sure whether that's adjoining lots or something else, or whether this blueprint is even complete at all.
Interesting. While we're going up to Axie, PU is gonna stop himself. Oh, Frank! I got you something. He says, and he's gonna slam his elbow down on the back of Axie's boot, and it pops open with a ping. And sitting in the back is a freshly made up overcoat for Frank. In his size, too.
You didn't need to do that.
No, I did, because I'm tired of picking up your pieces that end up everywhere when you get blasted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'll try not
Frank.
to get blasted so much.
I mean, do that, but you don't have to apologize for it, Frank. You doing me a favor by taking the bullets.
If I ain't been careful enough, you need to tell me, and I'll do better.
You're still standing. You're doing fine.
Did they have to stitch 3 of those together to make it fit? Says Charlie.
I don't know what they did, but Burger Boy did a great job on it. I'll say that much. I mean, look at this.
He says, and it shows the back of it. It's got a little patch of Axie on it.
Fleck of the white, the yellow paint still gleaming on this literal shard of the taxi's bodywork woven into the jacket.
So this is body armor for Frank. So I'm guessing
yes.
it weighs like 800 pounds or something like
To anyone
that.
other than Frank, it would be, well, walking around with a piece of a taxi on your back would certainly be debilitating. But Frank, the mining bot, you just slide the jacket on and you barely even feel it. It's like you're wearing nothing at all.
Frank
So does this
is
mean Axie has a hole in it?
because of the... Sorry, what was that?
Sorry,
Does this
go
mean
again,
Axie
Frank.
has
I
a hole
didn't.
in it?
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but
Oh, okay. Yes, go ahead, Frank.
The fact that it has a patch, you guys can all tell that patches are now going to be featuring rather big time in the social group, whether or not you want it or not.
Frank as impressionable as ever. So Charlie pulls open the back door of Axie and gestures to the back seat. Rusty takes a flying leap into it. Bark, 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 wagging his tail. And as Charlie slams the door shut, he turns to you, PU. He gestures towards Axie and he says, "The door's heavier than usual. You've had body work done."
Oh, yeah, check this out.
He says, and he pulls out the smart gun and he fires a single round into the door.
The bullet hits the bodywork and ricochets off, tumbling down into the gutter, leaving only a tiny little fingernail-sized scrape in the yellow paint.
Less squishy now. You know, we can properly take some damage in this.
"Bulletproof coating. Impressive," says Charlie. I can see Rusty's very excited. Rusty's inside Axie, leaning up on the back seat, still wagging his tail.
Frank is looking mortified.
You right there, big guy?
What did Axie do? Axie's always been real good. Why
No, Frank. She likes it. It's like a scratch on the. You know, you ever had a dog with a really thick skin, similar to Rusty, but you know, crusty too. You really got to get in there next to get there. It's like that.
Frank is very bewildered and is still trying to understand why Axie had to be shot.
"She'd like to be rewarded with a bit of an upgrade every now and then," says Charlie. And as he says so, he reaches into his coat, stroking the head of the little metallic kitten resting in the pocket on the inside of his jacket. It lets out a meow, purr, purr, and Frank, you notice that its eyes are a distinctly different colour than they were when you bought it for Charlie. Upgraded kitty here with some night vision," says Charlie. "A reward for being such a cute and cuddly-wuddly little pet." Charlie slides into the back seat of Axie and says, "Well, come on."
Yeah, let's go.
Pew says, pulling up to the door, slams it closed behind himself, and slams his finger onto the play button of his mixtape.
The engine roars to life as Frank and Azure scramble into the taxi just as the wheels begin to turn.
I just want to clarify.
Go ahead, Frank.
Frank rides on the top on the roof rack, doesn't he? He's too big to actually fit in the taxi.
Yeah, sure. As
That
the
is-
tires...
Is that basically your understanding, Tristan?
To previous memory, I thought Frank had his knees up to his chest, in one of the seats.
on how he feels. Sometimes he sits there with his knees up to his chest. Sometimes when he's got a dumpster full of stuff he's bringing with him, he's up on the roof.
That makes sense.
Okay.
As the tires squeal against the asphalt, Frank vaults up onto the roof, and inside the taxi you see the cabin roof above instantly sag under
Now,
his
Frank,
weight.
you may struggle to bring a dumpster into the clinic, so keep that in mind.
The engine roars to life as Axie carries you off into Psy. And PU's mix fills the cabin.
Alrighty. Azur, send the image to me while I'm driving. It helps me focus.
I'll pass it over. I know how well you drive.
Oh yeah, top notch, right?
PU's driving with one boot on the steering wheel. He's lighting a cigarette, and with his other hand, he's increasing and decreasing the size of the map to look it over.
While keeping an eye on the
Good
road.
enough.
Yeah.
So, Today is a pretty dreary day inside. There's a light drizzle raining down on the streets, and the skies above are bleak and grey. Or at least they would be if they weren't, as ever, continuously lit by an endless stream of advertising, neon lights, and holograms of the entertainment district speeding past. Eventually, Axie carries you up onto an overpass, a narrow bridge, almost entirely clogged with peak hour traffic that carries you over one of Sigh's many black pollution-choked canals, and eventually down into the slums of Laketon. The neon, still ever present, no longer advertises VIP clubs and brothels. Instead, it advertises cheap food, salvaged electronics, refurbished goods, and coffin motels. The ramshackle, downtrodden buildings aligned with bars and automatic turrets, and there are tent cities on every street corner. You turn onto the street where the Origin Clinic lies, and you instantly see it. It's less of a building, more of a nuclear fallout shelter. A big, utilitarian, rectangular, boxy slab of concrete. With a yard and parking lot out the front, fenced in by 20-foot high concrete walls lined with razor-sharp wire spooling over the top. The building itself doesn't have any windows. Rather, the outside of the concrete block is layered with electronic billboards, drowning the surrounding street in an endless torrent of Church of the Fideistic Transformation mottos and platitudes. Unburden your mind. Look to the future. Embrace the inevitable.
Bunch of wackos, if you ask me. Pew says, scrolling by the ad.
So, I have a question for you, and that is, as Axie rolls up to the Origin Clinic, you find that the blueprint was pretty spot on. There's a single gap in the thick concrete wall. There's a yellow and black striped boom gate currently shut, barring access to the street outside, and there's a little speaker right in front of the gate inviting any prospective visitors to check in with security before parking their vehicle. Otherwise, you could simply park elsewhere on the street and approach on foot. It's up to you.
I think that'd probably be smartest, because it wouldn't look exactly suspicious for a taxi to roll by and then park nearby and drop off some passengers, you know? Or maybe just around the corner so the
you look like you need emergency care.
Yeah, that was going to my second part. We have PU here. You know, he is in a bad way. He reeks of rot. So there's probably something very, very wrong with him. So we could get into reception. I ham it up. They'll let us through soon enough. But listen. I see there's a couple of ways that we can get down into the depths there. Me and Frank could probably, I could say, got an emergency, gotta go. We get into the washroom over there. Frank can just bust down a wall. I mean, Silver Sister over here with Zura can probably get a door open through the staff lounge, sneak through that way with Charlie, and we meet back up. Wouldn't be that hard, right?
Sounds easy enough to me, says Charlie. What do you think, Rusty? Bark, bark, woof, woof, woof. And so Axie rolls past the big concrete block that seems to take up most of this city block. There's barely any room for any buildings adjacent to it, though the buildings on either side of it, it's hard to tell where they end and the clinic begins. All of this concrete just sort of pressed in, compressed into a single spot. At the end of the street, there's a public access car park. Axie slows to a crawl at the back of the car park and the engine dies, and you make your way down the rest of the street on foot. Nobody seems to notice you. Even PU doesn't draw a second glance here. The street filled with crowds of the downtrodden, the desperate, browsing street-side stalls selling street food, refurbished electronics, and as you grow closer to the Origin Clinic, you pass by a narrow alleyway, and seated at the mouth of the alleyway is a man with long, wild blonde hair wearing disheveled, dirty clothing. He's holding up the side of a cardboard box upon which the words "We'll dance for creds" have been very messily scrawled. And as you walk past, he watches you with a pleading look on his face.
Hugh looks at him as he's walking past. He tilts his head.
Oi! Long hair.
The hobo looks up at you. Got any cash for those down on their luck?
Yeah, you can get the bag in a second. Side City Slashers or the Back Alley Bashers? Which one? Which team, huh?
I ain't much for the kill streams, says the hobo, but I like the sound of the slashers.
Yeah, good enough.
Pew beams through 10 creds to him.
He smiles as he sees the number trickling down on his RCD. That's mighty fine of you. That should, get me something to chow down on. Not much charity among folks in this part, not with that monstrosity. He gestures with his thumb over his shoulder at the concrete block, just as one of the billboards beams the fideistic transformation logo down, bathing the hobo's face and body in pink light.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I was asking for a dance, but if you want to see charity, sure, that works. What's changed with them?
Well, you know, some of the folk round here do what they can to make things scrape by, but they usually only end up with what they need. Occasionally someone passes a cred or two. Most days like this, I'm lucky if I get 10, like what you gave. He looks over at Frank. He says, "You big guy, frame like that, you look like you get a lot of good, honest work done."
Oi, you keep your eyes off him. He's a good bloke, but too good for you.
Most days when I ain't begging, I make ends meet rifling through the trash, you know, digging through dumpsters, trying to find the things that the well-to-do folk throw out that could be sold for a cred or two.
P looks up to Frank to see how he's going to entertain this guy here.
Frank is gonna look back and forth at everyone and says, "You told me I ain't supposed to accept messages from the alphabet thingy, and I'm not supposed to talk to strangers."
Yeah, we're talking to him now. Oi, bud, what's your name?
Name? Shit. The hobo's eyes glaze over. Been a long time since anybody's asked my name. Go ahead, Frank.
Well, the guy said shit and then paused, and Frank said, "Well, shit is a strange name."
Certainly is, but I guess shit here isn't a stranger anymore, eh?
I know it ain't shit, dang it.
No, it's shit.
Hang on. He taps his finger against his forehead. I got it rattling around here. So, Francis. I think people used to call me Francis back in the day.
All right, well, Francis, what are you rifling through? What do you make of it?
Well, see, usually, ain't no big deal for me to, crack open a dumpster, look around. Sometimes you find a half-eaten burger or a piece of electronics, but recently, he jabs a thumb over his shoulder. This monstrosity here, this church, they got wise to the fact that folks like me have been digging around in their trash, and so he gestures with his chin further down the mouth of the alleyway, and at the very back of the alleyway, pressed against the brick wall of the adjoining building, you see a fairly standard-looking dumpster, except somebody's clamped a big iron brace over the lid. Well, I ain't got superpowers, so I ain't able to get that open, and
Does it look hackable?
perfectly analog. Just somebody stuck a big clamp on it.
Well, I can take that off if you'd like.
If you'd be so obliged, says Francis. I'm sure it'd be something in there that might interest you.
Yeah, I'll remove the clamp.
There could be some soap in there.
Piyu's got his hand on the butts of his smart guns that are holding out the hem of his pants. He's eyeing it warily. He's not sure if this hobo's trying to set them up for something. His street smarts are tingling, I guess you could say.
They'll probably tingle more when the hobo's eyes light up at Azur's comment and says, "Oh boy, soap! If they throw some of that out, I could wash for the first time in 6 months."
All right, give me my creds back. Nah, none of this charity shit.
Frank, go ahead and make me a strength check and add your athletics if you've got athletics, add +2.
Yes, okay, so basically, can you roll the dice for me?
Sure will.
My thing is not doing the dice very well, and that just means you gotta add 5.
Add 5, let's go ahead. Yeah, Albert's dice is being particularly slow today. That's alright, I have 1,000,000 dice available, so I will check my other one. That's going to be...
1,000,000?
D20 +5. That will be a 15. And so Frank just steps forwards, places his broad shoulders against the clamp, and with no effort at all, bends it upwards. The clamp shrieks as Frank lifts it up, folds it in on itself, and the lid of the dumpster pops open.
If it's possible, Frank is going to be holding the clamp at the end and looking for a place to put it. He's going to go to the nearest nice car and clamp the car.
As soon as the dumpster's lid pops open, you see Frank carefully remove the clamp, now folded in on itself, and just scan the street. There's no cars parked here, but there will be some in the parking lot, Frank, you realise. So Frank just slides the clamp into his jacket for now, holding onto it.
Could be very useful for locking a car or a door.
Ah, damn! Shouts Francis, getting up and not just walking, but jitterbugging his way over to the dumpster. He kneels over and begins to rifle through it. Oh, check this out! Old vending machine goods. We got wrapped chocolate bars. Oh, a can of gamer juice. Half-eaten cafeteria burger. Oh, this is the mother load.
Yeah, you're real happy about it. Fucking soap-loving scum. But, what does it mean for us? Why were we interested in this? You said something about something good back here?
I think you'll probably find some use for this, says Francis. reaching once more into the dumpster, and when he emerges, he's holding a credit card-sized plastic badge. It's got a grainy photo of a woman with pink hair smiling on it, and the logo for the Origin Clinic. Says here, employee name, Jane Braithwaite, employee number 11224B, security rank 2. They must have shit-canned her and must have thrown this out. He proffers it to you.
Pio will,
Yeah.
Zero will, go ahead, pardon me.
I have pink hair.
Hey, ma'am, she kind of looks like you, says Francis, except for the... He mimes the shape of your face mask.
Her dome.
Dome, right. Say, you ain't fixing on getting into there, he gestures his thumb at the clinic, are you?
You know, for someone who should know how to play the streets, you ask an awful lot of questions, don't you?
You sit on street corners as long as I have, you learn to recognize folk that have shady predilections. Yeah, I knew the moment I saw you. You're mercenaries, right? Got a job to pull in there, I take it?
Yeah, and you best take it that you keep your mouth shut.
Oh, I will. Don't you worry, I want nothing to do with that place. Oh, the stories about what goes on in there. Of course, most of their patients come from the hills. They ain't from around here. They don't hear the stories, but, well, I'd never want to book myself into that place, I'll tell you that much.
Why are they set up here if they take most of their clients from the hills?
Beats me, says Francis, shrugging. I will say, though, every weekend they got this truck that pulls up along the side. Medical waste, apparently, but I swear one time I was scoping out that truck, seeing if maybe I could snatch something and sell it to someone down the street. Then I swear I saw an arm poking out of the back of the truck, hand and everything still attached.
You're moving people in and out.
Seems obvious to me. People, organs, something like that. Everyone says around here, you trust the wrong person. You wake up in a bathtub and your cyber kidneys are gone. Of course, folk from the hills, so far up their own noses, probably ain't heard those rumors. Book themselves in, thinking they're getting a visit with the good doctor, and then they end up getting carted out in that truck, I take it.
Frank is going to lean over to PU and said, he said we was to beat him?
What? Beat him? Well,
yeah, he said beat me.
I mean, if
afraid.
you like to, Frank, I'm not going to stop you, but I think he's beat enough. Ain't that right, Frank fuck or whatever?
Where's he hearing all these stories?
Why don't you ask him? Pick him up, shake him up.
Well, you told me I'm not supposed to talk to strangers.
Well, you know his name, don't you? That ain't a stranger.
Certainly not, says Francis. We're friends now. I'm Francis.
I wouldn't go that far.
To be fair, just
Okay.
knowing someone's name is not enough to make them not a stranger.
So I'm supposed to pick him up. Frank picks him up. And you said I'm supposed to shake him?
Yeah, if he doesn't tell us
Gently.
what he knows. What do you
Well,
reckon,
so-
Franz?
Shit, where did you hear these stories?
So with Frank's strength, I won't make you roll to intimidate him. I'll just apply an automatic success as Frank hoists him up, grabbing him by the scruff of his disheveled collar, holding him up in the air, about a foot off the ground in a single hand. Francis looks down and he says, "Hey, it's just street people, hell, I really put my foot in it this time, didn't I? Look, let me down. I promise I'll be honest with you."
Pia will block up the other side of the alleyway and say, "You reckon you can be trusted, Frank?"
I don't understand most of what he says. I still don't know why he wants me to beat him.
No, some people get turned on by that. I ain't one to judge if that's what you like, but please, put me down. I'll tell you everything I know.
Frank is looking at Charlie and Azure and at PU.
I think we can trust him for now.
Am I supposed to put him down?
Yeah, just keep it a hand close, don't want him running off.
Alright, puts him down, stares at his hands.
Lower him down, and as soon as you lower him down, he shuffles away, pressing his back against the wall, and he says, "Hey, they got the scorpions working in there. You know about that?"
Maybe.
Well, there's a guy in the Scorpions, he goes by the name of Cutter. And, sometimes he comes out here for a cigarette, we get to talking. He likes to run his mouth a lot. Sometimes when he can, he gets away with, a couple vials of medicine from inside the clinic, because, I'm a sick man, and I need my medicine. In return, I tell him about all sorts of strange people keeping an if you want to visit the clinic, give him a heads up what kind of people he's dealing with. I ain't gonna say nothing about you folk, of course, though.
Yeah, what kind of medicine are you talking? We talking chalk? You talking rattle, dirt, sleep? What medicine are you packing?
I ain't got any of it on me right now, but we're talking red juice, adrenochrome, the good stuff, doctor stuff.
Right, well, you best get out of here before Cutter makes his next shift change. Otherwise, we'll shift and change you. Got it?
Hey, you don't need to tell me twice. He glances sideways at Frank. I think this big fella's made his point. I'll tell you what, I'll try begging on the other street corner for the rest of the day. Leave you folks to do your business in peace, huh?
You won't just leave us, you'll forget us. Come on, let's go.
Never seen ya. He gathers all of his appropriated trash in the pile at his feet, gathers it up, shoves it into a tattered bag, grabs his little cardboard sign, and without glancing at you a second time, shuffles away down the street.
Yeah. Well, good for something, I guess.
Well, we have a security card now.
Yeah, she looked close enough to you, Azure. Like, you reckon you can pose?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. You can probably doohickey the card where the fuck you chrome domes do.
Just hope they don't ask about the face, says Charlie.
Yeah, body mod here, body mod there. No one's gonna give a shit. They're doctors. They deal with slicing and dicing and ripping and docking all the time.
Ooh, they've probably seen much worse, much weirder things than what Azure or myself have for a face. Hey you lead the others down the street and you find yourself approaching the security gate of the parking lot. What's the plan?
Are we going for sick PU or are we going for me and my guests?
I think we should do sick PU to get in, and then you could probably use the staff card to get further.
Yeah.
Maybe. So what I'm thinking now that we have the staff card, right? There's the staff lounge there. So you and Charlie could probably slip into there. I'm gonna try and get PU and Frank into this washroom. And there's a very thin wall here, so that won't be there for very long with Frank around. And then we meet back up around here-ish.
Yeah.
What do you guys reckon?
I will point out, Frank, you do have Spot with you. You can feel him buzzing under the brim of your coat. Your little surveillance bot, your little remote-controlled dragonfly. And this might be a good time to send him to scout the parking lot and see exactly what you're dealing with once you get in there.
Well, I am more than happy that Frank is going to let Spot out, but just remember that Frank is never going to actually think of using Spot in that way. He just has a little toy, a little friend, and he likes flying it. So if I'm in a car park, you can bet he's going to let Spot out because, nice wide open spaces.
Yeah, Frank pulls open the brim of his jacket and the little dragonfly takes flight, emitting an electronic hum as it takes to the sky and zooms away.
Oh,
a little silver sparkle in the neon haze. Frank, go ahead and make me a knowledge check.
Good thinking, Frank. You might not be as empty up there as I thought.
And you have perception, so you can add +2.
Well, I'm going to have to -1 because I think my knowledge is it's all great.
Yeah, so +1 altogether. I'll roll that for you.
Oh, I stand corrected. No, it's... Yes, right. Go ahead.
Yep, so that is a 13. Nice. So you watch as Spot zooms around. You feel a sense of glee, Frank, as he zooms over the wall, hovers about 5 feet above the parking lot, flits back and forth, clearly enjoying the chance to spread his wings. And then finally, when he zooms back down towards you, you pull your jacket open and he nestles himself in his usual spot in your inner pocket. You slide your jacket closed and he immediately begins to upload his recorded feed into your RCD. You watch from a bird's eye view as the little drone circles the parking lot and notices 3 things of note. The first is that there's a fire escape over by the eastern edge of the courtyard. It looks like it'd be fairly easy to get open. Doesn't appear to be locked, but there are 4 men wearing leather jackets emblazoned with the Scorpion logo, chilling in a group just outside. 2 of them smoking cigarettes, the other 2 kicking an empty beer bottle along the concrete. A few feet from that, on the edge of the courtyard and the parking lot, is a circular-shaped fountain. Doesn't appear to currently be operating. Instead, there's a thick, black, viscous liquid filling the fountain. The water clearly hasn't been changed in a very long time. And third of all, over at the very leftmost edge of the parking lot, in the corner of a little alcove just by reception, is a single rectangular dumpster. Your eyes light up immediately, Frank, at the prospect of rifling through this dumpster, but as your drone pulls away, you notice something else interesting. There's a metallic sewer grate right underneath the dumpster.
First off, Frank does not believe that there is such a thing as a dumpster that he doesn't own. So he is immediately going to start walking towards that dumpster, and he's going to say, I found it. Spot found the dumpster.
Frank, stop.
What?
There's a security detail.
The security booth doesn't...
Scorpion guys? Well, I can always beat them up if you want me to.
Just... When I fall over... Catch me, okay?
Did you get that, Adam?
I didn't. There was some warble. I'm sorry. What was it
good.
that PU said?
PU says, when I fall over, just make sure you catch me.
And then, as Frank moves towards the security booth, stands in front of the boom gate, and is about to just grab it and hoist it open. PU, what do you do?
PU's going to leap forward towards Frank and say, "Oh, it burns, it hurts, it's so cold and it's so hot at the same time. It's awful, Frank."
I'm going to move up and see if I can get the attention of anyone in the security.
Anyone there? Frank, do you hold out your arms to let PU, quote unquote, faint right into them?
He is, and he's now alarmed and starts pounding him on the back. You ate too many of those treats, didn't you?
Oh, I don't know what it is, Frank, but I'm sure I'd be fine if you just keep holding me. Oh, God. Oh, it burns.
Frank is going to
Whoa.
grab him and run towards the nearest emergency room door.
just as Frank's about to start, hoists PU into his arms, pats him on the back, and is about to run to the nearest emergency room. Azure steps forwards, and behind the glass of the security booth, there's a man dressed in the telltale leather jacket of the Scorpions. His eyes are closed, and he's bobbing his head up and down as he listens to music, pumping through the big, thick, antique black headphones he's wearing. You wrap your thumb on the glass to get his attention. He startles, nearly toppling out of his seat. He straightens the headphones and then peers through the glass. He sees Frank holding PU in his arms. And PU, what's your presence?
My presence is +1.
Yeah, I'd say that's enough to sell it for now. He sees PU pale, encrusted in filth, and, well, PU looks like he's been in a terrible accident. He looks like he's fallen into some toxic waste. This guy doesn't know that's what PU looks like all the time. So he reaches over for the microphone, and through the speaker you hear his voice say, "Whoa! He looks like he's in a bit of trouble."
Oh, God, it's like they're crawling all through my body. Ugh.
Quick,
Hey, look,
open the gate. We need to get in as soon as we can.
Frank has already started running, and if there's a boom gate or something in the way, that's not an issue.
He's just gonna grab it. Frank places his hand on the boom gate. He's about a second away from lifting it up when suddenly Azure steps forwards and she says, "Please, we need to get this man to... emergency. I can treat him." And do you flash the badge against the window?
Does it look like he's going to do anything without that?
As he sees Frank moving towards the boom gate, you see his gaze drift to a red button on the wall. "Hang on," he says, "I can't just let anyone in. I gotta have a name
Then
at least."
Flash out. I'm Jane. Jane Breathway? What was it?
Braithwaite.
Braithwaite.
But as you flash the badge, do you do anything with your hair?
I switch it.
With
Does
your
it?
hair?
Does my hair look? How does my hair look compared to it?
Azure's just
Did you-
looking away so you don't see the giant screen for a face. You'll just use the pink hair and the ID card against the glass.
Her hair's perhaps slightly lighter than yours, but you're doing your best to, sort of only flash the badge, half cover the picture with your thumb, only
And
display
I'm
it.
looking with great concern at my friends.
Looking with great concern at your friends. Go ahead, Azure, make me a presence check. If you have Persuade, you may add +2.
I'm pretty sure I don't have that.
You got this.
Uh-huh. Can I use a glitch?
Sure can use a glitch.
All right.
Are you re-rolling or minusing 4?
What is the DC at actually? I'm sure
So the DR's 12. It's 12
Yeah,
for most
reroll.
things unless I specify.
All right, that's much better. 12 actually. Yes, with my minus.
He glances at the badge, and you think in calmer circumstances he'd probably... Go
to
ahead.
be perfectly accurate, that is actually 11 with my -2
11.
presence.
All right, 11 it is. I will let you pass with a cost. So,
Right.
normally, if things were calmer, you get the impression that he'd probably demand to scrutinize the ID, but once again, PU wails, "Oh, it burns!" And Frank begins to bend the boom gate up. The security guard just shrugs and he says, Dr. Braithwaite, sure. He slams his fist down on the control panel, and there's a mechanical whir as the boom gate just shoots up, clunk, letting Frank carry PU through. And as you pass by the security booth, Frank carrying PU, running as fast as he can across the parking lot towards reception. Just as you're passing by the security booth, Azure, you hear the voice of the man within. Dr. Braithwaite, oh, she was, right, okay, well, she's on her way in, be ready, and, alright, head screwed on, everyone.
I'll relay that Braithwaite is compromised.
PU gets a ping across his RCD of Braithwaite X, like a little skull emoji in pink. That's not great. Oh, Frank, I really could use a visit to the dumpster to make me feel better, right?
Okay, now, Frank is looking at you. It's okay, little buddy. We're right close to the emergency. I'll get a doctor to see the...
Frank, don't worry about the emergency. Let's go to the dumpster. It's way safer for
yeah, I mean, Frank, are you really trying to take old PU to a doctor?
There's soap in there.
Okay, at this point, I think everybody's going to realize that nobody explained to Frank that PU was faking.
No, I know we didn't do that. This is part of the hilarity.
This is part of the fun.
So Frank is taking his friend to see a doctor.
Oh no. Frank, I can feel my slime coating like dissolving. I need a nip. He's like a fish. He's got a protective slime coat at this point.
Frank, says Charlie, PU is well, as they used to say in that old film, we were merely born with the trash. We merely adopted the trash, but PU was born in it. And that dumpster does look about his size. You never know, it might perk him up.
I'm thinking that this is happening whilst they're running.
While they're running across the parking lot.
I'm not convinced that Frank is going to register somebody making any kind of argument.
PU is going to reach up to grab Hank's big meaty cheek and say, Frank, I'm about to rip mega ass. You better put me down beside that fucking dumpster.
Oh, okay. Is the dumpster open? Is the dumpster open so that he can... Because I misunderstood, so Frank misunderstood. He thinks that PU is about to have a colossal case of the run, so he's going to run over to the dumpster, flip the lid open, and sit PU on it so that he can drop his... I'm afraid PU's may have been pantsed in the process, though.
That is more a problem for you guys than it is for PU.
As you rush into the little alcove, there's an electronic chime that rings through the parking lot. Do, do, do. And you hear a voice say, Dr. Jane Braithwaite's privileges have been revoked. Attention.
Shoot.
If anyone encounters a Dr. Jane Braithwaite, please contact security. All privileges have been revoked. Thank you. Do, do, do. And then Frank rushes towards the dumpster, hoists the lid off, and deposits PU into the dumpster. PU's pants lying still limp on Frank's arm, and for a brief second, as PU is lowered into the dumpster, you see him without his pants for the very first time. And what does PU look like? What does his body look like under all those layers of filth and clothes? Is it like gazing at the face of God and your mind just
You
instantly
stare
going...
into the filth, and the filth stares back.
Look away. This is too much.
No, you can't. It is burned into your retinas. The mass of gunk, grime, and years of uncleanliness have amalgamated into a horrifying form.
Oh, it burns my eyes.
There's just a big...
a fire emoji appears on my screen.
a fire emoji. Rusty's like trailing alongside behind Charlie, and he instantly turns away and just lets out a long "awoo, awoo" as PU scrambles into the dumpster and makes a big raspberry with his lips.
Given that it's PU, I think he's just using the opportunity that's been provided.
Yeah,
It
no.
probably is, actually.
Yeah, and about 45 seconds later of the metal walls of the dumpster shuddering in what seems to be fear or reverberations, PU's foot kicks open the lid of the dumpster, and he shimmies out and he goes, "Oh, do not go in there for a little bit."
Do not plan to.
And he swipes his pants back from Frank and dons them with his kicking his boots through. Ugh. Well, we got in, he says, pulling the fly up and buckling his belt.
Now
Probably
that the
scoot into this hatch.
Yeah, now that the crisis seems to be averted and you're right next to the dumpster, you can see there's a big human-sized sewer grate right underneath the dumpster. It looks like the dumpster was placed here specifically to cover it up.
Well, so hello, Britt. Lovely to have you here. We missed you.
Welcome, Britt. So we have to get into this clinic, this doctor's clinic, get to the server room, upload a tracker so that Ermac Ransom can figure out what the Scorpions have to do with a string of disappearances, and he's requested that the crew do it as stealthily as possible with minimal fuss. So right now, the crew have decided they've gotten into the parking lot, and Frank's surveillance drone spotted a dumpster in a little alcove off to the side, and underneath that dumpster is a sewer manhole. And the crew is sort of hoping that rather than strutting into reception and having to bluff their way into the clinic, they might crack that sewer manhole open and see if maybe they can find some way into the building from the tunnels beneath.
We have already made a little bit of fuss.
Not much.
I have already made. I'm a great at people.
So, once you've slid the dumpster out of the way, and Frank, are you keen to look in the dumpster?
Well, no, for the moment, Frank is still worried about PU, and he said, "Did having the truck, did that help? Were you feeling
Frank,
better?"
you did perfect, buddy. Don't you worry. I just think I had maybe one too many cups of 17 alarm ramen.
More than one?
Yeah, you're supposed to have 17. It's in the name. Duh.
What is the food stuff that gets delivered to Frank every day?
Yeah, the 17 alarm ramen. Usually it shows up at 6 p.m. on the dot. But occasionally, usually on days when PU is doing something with Frank, complete coincidence, it shows up a bit earlier. And today, PU was lucky enough to get his delivery of 17 alarm ramen just before you met with Ermac Ransom in Tech Noir.
I thought it was 6 a.m. every day. No, is it 6 p.m.?
6 p.m., yep. Just in time for dinner, but, you know,
Gotcha.
sometimes, usually when you're with Frank, it shows up at the most bizarre times. 4:33 in the afternoon, 1:30.
That's when I'm hanging out with Frank.
So PU has indeed downed today's cup, but its effects are in play for when he wants to use it. So Frank shifts the dumpster out of the way, revealing the sewer grate. And the sewer grate is flush with the floor. There's no obvious handle or any part of it that could be used as leverage to pull it out. Rather, it seems to be fixed into place with a series of very large screws. 4 of them, one for each quadrant of the circular grate.
Oh, I can help with this.
Pu's going to pull out a magnesium strip from full magnesium strips from his bag.
Do you have a screwdriver first?
No, this is way cooler than that.
Oh, it's much cooler, but it also it leaves more evidence.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I've never been good at that. Well, shit, let the dog try. The dog's got that mouth thingamajiggy, don't it?
Bark! Bark! Rusty opens his mouth, extends his tongue, and sure enough, with a little word, the multi-tool extends. Charlie, you have a choice. You're a mechanic. You could try to undo these screws yourself, or you can just pilot Rusty to do it. Up to you.
I Rusty can do it. He's a good boy.
Go ahead,
Love
make
Rusty.
me a knowledge check, and add +2 for your mechanics.
I may or may not have my file open.
Oh, I believe your knowledge is +2?
So you'd have a +5 total, I believe.
Yeah.
Would you like someone to roll for you if you don't have a dice ready?
No, I have the dice. I just don't have my
Doesn't
thing.
have her sheet on hand. I have a copy of your sheet. I'm just scrolling through your DMs. Your knowledge seems to be +2. So yeah, it'll be a +4 on your roll. So roll a d20, add +4. 2 for your knowledge, 2 for your mechanics.
17.
Nice.
17, nice. The dog's little mouth whirs as it deftly unscrews all 4 of the screws, and then Frank kneels down, grabs the lid, and slides it away, revealing a narrow shaft leading into deep black darkness below. A single metal ladder, the only means to safely descend.
I don't think this goes to the emergency room.
Yeah,
Right,
but
I
if...
don't think we need the emergency room anymore.
But,
Yeah,
The
Frank,
emergency
I'm
PU
fine off to
was
empty it
real
up.
thick.
What was that, Frank? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
But PU was real thick.
Oh, no, Frank, I'm good. He says, like, jumping from one foot to the other. You know what helps
diarrhea.
me? You know what helps me? Dingy sewer air. Yeah, I reckon I can get a breathful of that.
And so PU's the first, clambering down the ladder, and everyone else follows. You leap off the bottom of the ladder, and
There's no mines this time, is there?
no mines this time, luckily. But as PU steps off the ladder, followed by everyone else, you all find yourselves up to your waist in murky sewer water. The tunnel is narrow, long, black, dark, claustrophobic, and it smells down here. It reeks of urine, feces, rot, decay, and death. You could feel
Take that
So what you're
PU's
saying is it smells like Axie.
Yes, like Axie. You could feel PU's miasma battling with the stench of the sewer for supremacy, like 2 great titans clashing it out. It looks like from here, the only way to go is straight forwards. The tunnel doesn't branch off, it heads straight ahead towards what, according to your map, would be the clinic itself, running straight underneath it.
A good start.
The tunnel's narrow enough, though, that you'll have to move in single file. So, PU, you're first, but then who's next?
I'll go next.
Azure. And
How's
then
Azure doing in this, by the way? Because Azure's not, the one to get down and dirty with this stuff most of the time. So I'd be very intrigued to see how she's feeling.
Stepping very gingerly and wishing I could turn off my olfactory.
Charlie, would you like to go last in the line, or
There's a poop emoji on my face.
last? Yeah, poop emoji on
I'm
your
not-
face.
I'm not fast.
So Charlie slides down and Frank brings up the rear as you begin to slosh through this filth. The only sounds, the dripping water around you and the constant slosh of your bodies pushing through the muck and the filth. As you press on, I'd like everyone to go ahead and make a toughness check for me.
Does PU get to do this with any sort of bonus?
You, yeah, you're probably used to this, so you can add a +1 to your roll, as if your toughness was 1 higher.
Okay, cool.
And
Got an
Britt,
18.
your toughness is +0, so you're just rolling a straight D20.
I got a 19.
Are you-
For you?
Are you able to go ahead and roll for Frank and DG?
What's Frank's toughness?
+2.
+2?
He also has thick-skinned and chromed,
Yes,
which I don't
he's
know what
chromed.
that means.
Well, chromed means he counts as having cyberware, and thick skin gives him extra HP. So that's a 12 for Frank, which is a pass. How'd you do, Azure?
18.
18. And how'd you do, Charlie, with your toughness of +0?
Can I use glitch to reroll?
You sure can.
I got an 11.
11 after the re-roll.
Yeah.
So, as you push on, sloshing through this muck,
PU's doing backstrokes and he's basically just taking gulps
Yeah,
at a
he's
time.
like-
He's loving it.
it's like, he's like an Olympic swimmer in a pool, backstroking down the aisle, enjoying himself.
Can you stop splashing so much?
No, that's the good part. You gotta aerate it before you take a
That's
sip.
really not.
Purrs to you, first to Azure, then to Charlie, and then finally to Frank, that you're not just sloshing through water. There's something moving. You can feel it. You can feel something squirming, bumping against your legs, pushing against the fabric of your pants, trying to squirm up, cling to your ankles.
I don't like it. There's something in the water.
Unseen things, thousands of little legs scuttling, tickling your skin. Azure, you just close your eyes and push on, and Frank seems oblivious to it, but Charlie, as you push on, you feel something wet and damp sinking, eating into the hem of your clothing, and then you feel something cold and slimy on your ankle, something that begins to seep into your very joints, digging unseen, long, spindly claws into your joints. And I'd like you to go ahead and roll a d12 for me, please, Charlie.
Uh-oh. That sounds like some kind of infestation.
I'm sure it's fine.
2.
Ooh. So first of all, Charlie, you take 3 points of damage as a sharp, sudden pain shoots down your spine, freezing you in place. You shake your head and it's gone as suddenly as it came, but Now something's different. You're infested with rot. Your skin and your flesh slowly rot. Large chunks of skin fall off.
I have skin now? Wow.
Yeah, wow. What passes
Not
for your
long.
skin? Large chunks of your synthetic skin fall off every time this infestation activates. Every time it activates, you take d6 damage, and for the rest of the day, you take an extra +2 damage from physical sources. That's now kicked in. You've taken 4 points of damage, and for the rest of the day, any physical sources deal an extra +2. Suddenly, Charlie smells wrong. That stench of decay and death that lingers in the tunnel seems to hang on Charlie's body. But don't worry, Charlie, it's not all bad. As those unseen spindly things scurry in your body, I'd like you to roll another d12 to see what nano power you get.
What?
Whoa.
8?
8. Alright. 8 will be to dust. As you reach down, Charlie, to scratch your ankle, you realise you can't feel your hand anymore. You raise your arm up, pulling it out of the gunk, holding it in front of your face, and 4 of your fingers have disintegrated into a thin layer of dust that now floats, sprinkled along the surface of the brackish water. You startle in fright, recoiling, and suddenly the cloud of dust flies up from the surface of the water, coalesces around your hand and reforms back into those 4 fingers, and you now have the power to dust. You can turn half a cubic meter of inorganic matter into dust. If the target is attached to or in the hands of a conscious creature, the test to activate the power is DR14. So you now have a nano power and an infestation to go along with it. How this works is whenever you cast a nano power, in this case your 2 dust, you roll your present. Success means the nano power works. Failure means you take D2 damage. But if you ever fumble, that is, if you ever roll a nat 1, your infestation, your rot, will activate. Do you make any comment about what has just happened to you?
The microphone? Okay. My microphone stopped working for a second there. It didn't seem to want to pick up my voice, but my hands help. I'm just gonna hold out my hands and just start freaking out.
Don't be such a baby, Chrome Dome. Too bad. Listen, this isn't anything you like worse than what you've seen with Axe. Where the fuck are your fingers?
P says as he turns around.
I don't.
Whimper, says Charlie, and then miraculously the dust coalesces where the fingers used to be, and the 4 missing fingers just shoot back up as if they were never gone at all.
You always been able to do that?
Well, we found him at least.
I'm just gonna be stunned. Staring at my hands.
Staring at your hands as you continue sloshing onwards, displacing more and more of that black brackish stuff, feeling more unseen things squirming underneath.
Does anyone know what the fuck I do? I'm scared that if I move, more of me is gonna disappear and then come back.
Well, as long as it comes back.
I'll buy us some super glue later. We can put you together. Don't just stick together for the meantime.
The little mechanical kitten resting in your coat begins to vibrate, activating its therapeutic purring mode to calm you. Purr, purr, purr. And then, PU, you're at the front of the line, so I'd like you to make a presence check, please. And if you have perception, you may add +2.
Sure.
I don't know what the fuck game I just joined back into. Like, this
Well,
is...
First of all, everyone saw the expanse of what's underneath P's pants. So, you know, pretty
yeah, I
terrible
got
that.
the
think you might have
graphics
just
on
put
that
that
one.
bit.
Yeah.
It's like in Fallout when you go into a place loaded with radiation and you get a mutation.
Those mutations aren't good though, are they?
Usually not,
Can
but they
be.
can be useful.
P did not do well on that roll, unfortunately. That's a 7.
And so, PU, doing your breaststroke through the sewer water, you're completely caught by surprise when a series of little pinpricks light up in the darkness ahead, glassy, hungry eyes. And then something chitters as a dozen leathery wings unfurl, and a cloud of nano-infected bats, vamps, emerge from the darkness, sensing fresh meat. PU, go ahead and roll agility to roll initiative, please.
Oh, I'm good at that. Oh, then 18.
18. That's a pass. So, as you see these humongous, fleshy bats, their skin pulsating with growths, as the nanobots squirm in their bodies, come bearing down towards the group, what do you do, PU?
Oh shit, duck and cover, folks! And P is going to duck down beneath the murky water and rack his smart guns in preparation.
I'm ducking under the water. Be right back, I'm so sorry. My partner broke a plate.
Oh, no.
Ducking under the water? Azure, what are you doing?
I am incredibly hesitant to duck under the water. I'll try and duck
B
as
is
much
gonna
as I
grab
can without
that
going
Azure.
under the water.
And Frank, what would you like to do?
Well, it's really, it's either going to be a cricket bat or a peacemaker.
Peace, up to you. Do you want to get your cricket bat out and play baseball? Just whoop, hit the bats as they get closer.
Yeah, bat
I
for a
think
bat.
that does seem to me to be more in keeping.
Yeah. Alright, so PU failed the perception check, so the bats get a free attack, a surprise attack to start the round. You've all had a chance to prepare. Charlie and PU have ducked under the water. Azure, you're not hiding under the water, are you?
Not under the water. I'm ducking as much as possible without.
Ducking as much as possible. And so, the only one whose body is framed above the surface of the water, aside from Frank, the bats immediately set their sights on you, their hungry eyes glimmering, and they come down for the kill. And I'd like you to go ahead and roll 3 agility rolls for me, 3 defense rolls.
Can Frank stand over any of his friends that are slightly exposed?
I'd say Frank, if you want to move up into place, you can roll one of those defense rolls for Azure, and then Azure can roll 2.
Okay, then he's absolutely going to do that. And if you could roll my D20 for me, please.
What's
GG.
your agility?
Oh, that's only +1.
+1, alright. How did you go, Azure, on your 2 defense rolls?
My defense is just D20. Add anything?
Only your agility, usually.
Agility, right, okay. 2 of them?
2 of them, yep.
Okay, 8 for one and 20 for the other.
So, the first bat, you deftly duck, it sweeps over your head, letting out a shrill chittering. The second one, however, darts, moving at an unusual...
a glitch and...
redo the roll? Yeah.
Well, I would just simply make Azure's roll successful with a...
An 8? Yeah. So as the second bat darts at an unnatural angle from the roof of the tunnel, you gasp, nearly falling backwards into the water as it swoops overhead. And then as the third bears down towards you, Frank rushes forwards and thwacks his cricket bat, knocking it out of the way, sparing you from being caught. There are 3 bats left, and seeing Frank step forwards, 2 of them immediately set their sights on Frank, bearing down upon him, while the last one, seeing PU's mohawk sticking out of the water like a spike, tries to make a dive bombing attack. So, PU, I'd like you to roll defense. You may add +1 because you're underwater, and Frank, you get to roll 2 defense rolls.
Alrighty, and defense rolls are an agility if I remember correctly, so...
Yep, D20 plus agility.
Ooh, yikes. That's an 11.
An 11. Alright, how'd you go, Frank, on your 2?
I don't know, you need to roll the dice
Oh yeah,
for me.
that's right, I forgot I'm rolling for you. D20 plus 2. So that will be a 7 and a 4, both failures.
Well, that's awfully unfortunate.
Hey, but you have that armor now.
You do have the armor. So, the 2 huge bats swoop down on Frank, and Frank, you're ready with your cricket bat, but in this tiny tunnel, there's not a lot of room to move. You swing your cricket bat and find it hear a thunk as it hits the wall. And then you feel the bats dig their talons into your flesh and chitter as they sink their fangs into your neck. Frank, you take 6 points of damage, but you're wearing Style Guard armor now, so you get to roll a D2 to soak that damage, and it's 2 separate attacks. You get to roll it twice, and I rolled it for you, so your 6 damage is reduced to 4.
Nice.
Then, you feel something pulling at the spike of your hair, and you emerge from the water ready to shoot, ready to riddle whatever's pulling at it with your smart gun. And this is exactly what the bat is counting on. As soon as your head pokes up from the surface of the water, the gigantic bat lets out a shrill shriek and sinks its fangs into your neck, and that will be 3 points of damage, Frank. PU?
I rolled with my armor, my Kevlar, 3 points of defense.
Nice. So 1 point. Yeah. So 1. Yeah. No, you fully soak the whole thing.
He bites into the thick leather and Kevlar mix that's around my collar.
And the bat shrieks in frustration as he fails to pierce your flesh, and then you shove him away, ducking back under the water. All right, PU, you're up. What would you like to do?
You hear a bubbling of P's scream from beneath the water's surface as he bursts up and says, "I said take this!" And he unleashes his auto fire of his smart guns against the bat that just tried to attack him.
Go ahead, roll. So vamps are quick flyers. They're hard to shoot, which means ranged attacks are DR 14, not DR 12. But you should still be fine, PU.
That's
You're
all right.
good at this.
Yeah, that's a 16 to hit on the first attack.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'll
roll
be
the
using
damage.
Dual wielder on this first attack.
Yeah.
So that is going to be 7 points of damage on the first attack.
You riddle the bat with bullets, so many that you shred its tiny body and its leathery wings just float down to the surface of the water.
And then I keep the train of bullets running along the sewer's walls, the glances of the bullets sending sparks down the sewer's tunnel as the bullets keep going. But they're not going to hit anything as they ricochet down the hallway for an 8 total.
The bullets spray the side of the tunnel, kicking dust and concrete smoke into the air. The bats scramble, furious, frenzied, terrified to avoid the gunfire and redouble their effort. All right, you're up next, Azure.
Right. What's near me?
So you've got PU in front of you, wildly firing his gun. You've got Frank to your left, using his cricket bat to try and fend off the bat that's having a go at his neck, and Charlie cowering under the water behind
I
you.
suppose is the closest thing to me in melee range or not?
So I'd say the one attacking Frank is in melee range. The rest are not.
All right. I kind of want to pull out this monosword I picked up last session and give that a swing. I don't know how to use a sword.
So
It's
that will
gonna
be
go
a
great.
D20 plus your strength. You don't know how to use a sword. We'll see how this goes.
By the sound of it, ranged and melee are going to go bad as well for me either way, so... Ooh. Yeah, I miss. Real nice. That's a 4.
A 4. You swipe the monosword through the air, missing the bat as it takes flight from Frank's shoulder and glides across the roof. And Frank, you're up.
Hey,
Well, I'd probably say, ow, when the monosword sort of takes off just a chunk of my scalp or something or other. No real death.
Cuts
One of
the
the very
top layer
few
of your
things in the
armor off.
world that can actually go through my polyceramic hide. And I'm going to smack a bat and try and send it way off.
Go ahead, roll me a strength check.
Hey, Azor,
Well,
this
I
isn't
would,
one of your.
except that you're rolling my dice. for
Yeah,
me.
that's
Sorry.
right, I am.
Hey,
So I
Azor,
will-
this isn't one of your samurai animals. Get with it.
Can't hack bats.
What's your strength, Frank?
That would be +3.
+3, yeah. So that's going to be a 13. That is a hit. How's that? Comes the voice from inside your coat as there's a loud thwack. And I will roll your damage, a D8. Max damage, 8. As Frank steps forwards, I would like you to describe how your cricket bat makes quick work of this little flying rodent.
Well, basically, he's going to do a bit of a pull shot, I think, because he's got a very restricted area, and it's all in the footwork. He's gonna belt the thing, and it's gonna go careening off. And if you're really nice, you might decide that it smashes into another bat, and we get a nice cascade effect.
The bat goes flying across the tunnel, nearly colliding with another bat which shrieks and dives out of the way at the last moment. And the bat you hit ends up as a bloody smear on the sewer tunnel wall. I think that's a golden century, Charles, comes the voice from inside your coat. I'd agree, Jones. He's on top form tonight. And then, Charlie, you're up.
Good question.
You're hiding in the water, so it's up to you if you want to keep hiding or maybe send Rusty to fend for you or pull out your shotgun, blast one of them away.
Because I am rotting, I'm going to send Rusty in to go fight.
Yeah. He's going to fight for you. Bark! 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 The water ripples as he leaps into the air towards one of the bats. Go ahead and make a knowledge check for me. That'll be, again, +2 for your knowledge, +2 for your mechanics.
Natural 20.
Natural 20, nice.
Nice.
Double damage. Rusty gnashes his razor-sharp teeth as he catches a bat, tackling it out of the air and splashes down into the water next to you, Charlie, ripping the bat to shreds like a chew toy. Grrr, grrr, shaking his head. That's 2 of them dealt with. 4 are left. They redouble their efforts. The tunnel fills with chittering as one of the bats chases after Charlie and ducks its head into the water, trying to sink its fangs into Charlie's shoulder. Go ahead, Charlie, roll a defense for me. That'll be a D20 plus your agility, which I believe is +0. No, it's not +0, that's your toughness. Let me check your character sheet.
+2.
+2, that's right, +2. So D20 +2.
16.
16, nice. You duck, cowering in a ball shape under the water. You feel the bat's claws scratching at the back of your neck, but take no damage. PU, as you rack another clip into your gun and take aim. 2 of the bats dive bomb down out of the air towards you. Roll me 2 defense rolls, please.
Ew, yikes! That is. Pew's looking down, pulling at his guns, pulling at one of the racks with his teeth. He looks up and he just sees both the bats flying for his face. He goes, "Oh fuck!" I got a 7 and a 8.
7 and an 8. Oof. Searing pain flows through your body as the 2 bats sink their teeth, finding flesh this time, and you take 5 points of damage, but that's 3 on one attack and 2 on the other, so you may roll your armor twice.
I save on 2 points.
2 points. Nice. 3 points of damage altogether. They draw blood, and you feel a little woozy for a second as you realize they're drinking your life's essence, and then with a great grunt, you grab one of the bats and fling it away into the darkness, whirling around and brushing your shoulder into the wall to knock the other one off. And then, Frank, you're up. Wait, no, Azure, you're up. What would you like to do? Oh, wait, no, sorry, it's not your turn. I'm scatterbrained tonight. There's one bat left, and it sets its eyes greedily on Frank, dodging and weaving past the cricket bat, coming down for the kill. Frank, what is your agility?
+1.
+1. That will be a 7, which will be a fail unless you spend a glitch.
I am not going to spend a glitch. Glitches are to help my friends.
Yeah. So once again, you swing your bat only to hear a ka-thunk as it hits the wall, and the bat sinks its sharp teeth into your neck. You take, once I roll your armor, you take 2 points of damage. And then, Frank, you're up. What would you like to do? How do you retaliate?
I'm going to hit it with a bat.
Yeah, alright. That's a d20 plus 3 with your strength. Ooh, that's a nat 20. So I will roll the d8 for you. 6 points of damage. And as you rolled a d20, I'll double it. But I'll offer you the choice, Frank. You can deal double damage to this one bat, or you can send this bat flying into the one next to it and deal 6 damage to each of them.
I'm definitely going to do the latter, because that just is way more fun.
Oh, here comes the fastball, Jones. Can he make it? Oh, he's hitting. Oh, it's flying way out into the outfields, and thwack! The cricket bat slides towards the flying rodent, sending it careening through the air, hitting the other bat like a tearaway bowling ball. I'm going to roll their armor, and plunk, plunk. 2 dead bats drop into the water, leaving 1 left. Azure, you're up.
Still got my mono sword out.
See if you could take out this last bat.
I'm gonna channel my inner bleach.
Yep.
Frank is going to try and be very tiny for a brief moment as he hears the
Probably for the best.
He hears the sword being primed once again.
Sword powers up. Zoom. Got a 14.
14, that's a hit. Go ahead, roll the damage.
So excited. So excited. So you just got to think about anime. It's a d8 damage, so that's 6.
As you raise the sword, you see an image in your head. Azure, anime style, her pink hair blowing in the wind as her hometown burns behind her, and she vows revenge. And then the sword comes down, striking the bat center mass. It gnashes its teeth in pain as you let out a shout, following up with a thrust and skewering the bat. You pull your sword away, and its limp body drops down into the water. Plunk.
Hey, PU, you're right. This isn't an anime. I just had to make it one.
What do they fucking call you back in there? A fucking weeb? Ugh.
Combat is over. Anyone who fired a gun may roll to see if they need to reload, and anyone who got hurt, which I believe is Frank and PU, may roll a d4 to recover some hit points.
PU hits a button on his smart guns, and the 2 magazines fall away into the water. Oh shit! No, fuck this! Fuck it. And he loads 2 new clips.
Forever.
How many hit points does Frank get?
Ah, yes, I will roll for Frank. Frank, unfortunately, you only regained 1 hit point.
Same here, Frank. Don't feel too bad.
Shuddering.
No problem.
Shuddering from the very horrific experience you've just been through. You take a few moments to collect yourself and then press on. And after about another minute wallowing through filth, you reach the end of the tunnel. Or, well, as far as you can go anyway. The rest of the tunnel is blocked off by a thick iron grate. But where you stand, the end of this section of the tunnel, there's a steel ladder leading up a shaft to a circular-shaped manhole. He used the first up, climbs up the ladder, and after a few moments of physical exertion, manages to detach the manhole, sliding it open, and you all clamber out to find yourselves in the central atrium of Origin Clinic. A little indoor courtyard. There's a cobblestone path running through the atrium from one entrance to the other. The rest of the atrium is lined with garden beds, trees, fountains, water features, offering an approximation of peaceful wilderness here in the middle of this otherwise bleak utilitarian concrete building. The atrium is surrounded by thick walls of glass, and beyond them, you can see the wide stone corridors of the building itself, several metal doors branching off to other parts of the building. Right now, it appears that you've arrived in the middle of a lull in activity.
What's the time right now?
According to your RCDs, it's currently just shy of 6 p.m, 5:59. There aren't any patients or doctors making their way around outside the atrium, but you do see a group of leather jacket-clad scorpions, 4 of them, gleefully laughing and jostling each other as they patrol the central square around the atrium. You can see them through the thick glass, but you've just clambered out of the manhole. They haven't yet seen you, and you've got about 20-30 seconds before they reach the entrance of the atrium and lay eyes on you.
PU and Rusty seem to match each other as they both shake themselves off. And
Boys.
PU will chuck a can of Amer Weiss to Frank, which is the expired gamer juice, before pointing out that they need to stop moving, maybe into these consultation rooms over here.
Consultation rooms? Anyone else got any other ideas?
So are we... All the walls around us are glass at the moment.
Yeah, so these
effectively
walls
anywhere in this
here-
room will be able to be spotted.
Yeah. So these walls around you are glass. They fence in the little indoor patch of nature, and then there's just a normal corridor running around it.
Good
How's the-
question.
Is there any
ahead.
level of cover in this area that we like in the
There's some
greenery
trees, some bushes, a couple park benches, a trash can.
I don't like these green things with the sticks. What? It's
area? You can see them
unnatural.
withering around you. We should head out.
Britt, you have a question?
I turn myself to dust. Can I move? In dust.
Well, there
It's
is a
more than half a
separate... Yeah, there's a separate nano power that does that. Your to dust power, unfortunately, only works on inorganic matter. Well, but
I'm a robot.
you are a robot, so you are inorganic. So I would say, yeah, you can turn yourself into dust, but, well, the hard part would be turning yourself back into a robot. Every time you turn yourself into dust, there will be a chance something could go terribly wrong. But if you're willing to live with that...
Or not, as the case may be.
Or as if I don't turn my monitor to dust? Can I just pretend to be a TV at that point?
Yeah, out in the garden.
Oh my god, it's his brain. That's Charlie's brain box. Who needs to spend 500k?
Just hide,
Right?
yeah, just hide their TV lying in the atrium? Sure. So, PU and Frank. So, Frank, what would you like to do? Attempt to hide or follow PU as he makes a mad dash for the consultation rooms to hide in there?
Well, just when you were describing everything, the joy of living with Cradle Mountain National Park being on one of my boundaries meant that I didn't have internet, and so I actually disappeared for a few moments, and so I don't know where we are.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, well, that's just what my absence means to the
So
group.
you're in an atrium. You know, have you ever been to a hospital? How they have like those little walled-in courtyards where you can go and smoke?
Yes.
It's like that. It's like that. It's encased. It's surrounded by thick glass walls, and there's a corridor running in a square around the atrium. Right now, there's a group of scorpions on patrol through that corridor. They're about 30 seconds away from rounding the corner and spying your group through the glass walls. There's some consultation rooms on the opposite side of the corridor, and PU's making a mad dash for those to hide, while Azure's going to attempt to hide in the bushes, and Charlie's going to attempt to turn himself into dust so that the scorpions just walk on by.
You also got a expired can of gamer juice to
Yes.
slurp down, so you can heal for a d6 if you'd like.
I would definitely like to heal for a D6. Is there an option for Frank to go and look like he is a shutdown robot that is supposed to be moving a
garden?
dumpster? Or moving a dumpster or rubbish or some such thing.
There is a big trash can in the corner of the atrium. Around it, at its feet, there's like a pile of smoke butts and empty cans and wrappers, and yeah, it probably wouldn't be out of place for a robot to be doing the busy work.
I'm going to go ahead and go over to that, like I'm bent over and I've just started working. I'm going to turn off the glow in my eyes. I'm not going to turn my eyes off. I'm just going to make it look like they're not. And I'm going to pop a couple of my panels, and I'm going to have a couple of hand tools laid out next to me, and I'm going to stand weird like I'm powered down and broken, and somebody has been along to try and fix me.
As you creep into the bushes and crouch down in the corner of the atrium, I'd like you to go ahead and make me an agility stealth check.
Yep. I do have that. Roll well for once, please. Do I know what the DC is?
It'll be 12.
It'll be 12. Alright, that's actually enough. That is,
Remember, Dale will tell us when it's not a 12.
Yeah, I'll tell you when it's a
right, yeah.
one.
Yeah. That's 13.
13, lovely. Charlie, feeling those things squirming in your body once more, you call upon the nanos to reduce your torso and everything below to dust, letting your TV and your head encased within just lie on the floor. Go ahead and roll me a presence check.
I feel a cry out as I see that.
That was a 16.
16, nice. You watch, and Azure watches next to you and concealed in the bushes as once again your fingers melt away, turning into dust, crumbling, and then your body follows, and then your jacket, until finally, with a thump, the TV lands on the edge of the atrium, surrounded by what appears to just be a pile of ash and soil. Rusty tilts his head looking at it. Wine.
I'm gonna tell him to hide. It's okay, hide!
And then he dashes towards the bushes to hide with Azure. Frank makes his way over to the bin and places his hands on it and then slumps over, looking like he's shut down. You hear the sound of the scorpions getting closer. Hey, you see that one they put in the cold storage? Never knew they could fit 6 bodies into 24 jars. Hey, you're not allowed to be peeking around in there. The boss would have your head. Hey, a boss will never know. They slap each other on the
I hope
shoulders.
you're recording.
Are you saying that somehow?
No, P.U.'s bolting you for the consultation. No, he's looking for the doors.
Hey, you shouldn't be touching any of those things anyway. They're all nano-infected. Are they? That's probably why that liver that was floating in formaldehyde was squirming and dancing. Yeah, every patient here is infected with nano, you dingbat. They come here trying to get a solution. And then the doctors chop them up and we're supposed to see them safely off. Yeah. The scorpions pass by the atrium, and as they pass by, they peek through the door, seeing Frank there still grasping the edge of the dumpster, seeing a TV lying in a pile of trash. They stop for a moment, pause. One of them scratches the back of his head, and then one of the scorpions says, Come on! We gotta do that patrol of the courtyard. Okay, alright. Coming! And they continue on, passing the atrium and continuing their rounds. They eventually depart through a door that whoosh slides open to admit them and disappear into the waiting area. Meanwhile, PU's dash towards one of the consultation rooms, and PU, the first door you try, is quite firmly locked.
Can he jiggle a mechanical lockpick in it, quick and easy to try and get through?
Sure can. Go ahead and roll me an agility, thievery roll, and we'll see if you can do it without setting off any alarms. Doing it's not the problem. The hard part is doing it without leaving a trace. This is PU we're talking about.
Okay, so I get to add a 3, making 11, and then a +2, making it a 13. Do I know the DC for not leaving? Just a 12, I assume.
Just a 12.
Yeah, cool.
There's a click, and you push the door open, and it creaks as you do, admitting you into the dimly lit consultation room. Pretty standard-looking doctor's office. There's a bed against one of the walls, a chair, a desk with a computer.
And not a speck of dust. Oh, it's so creepy.
But perhaps there's something to raise your spirits here, PU. There's a medicine cabinet right next to the desk.
Ooh,
doesn't appear to be locked either.
Well, don't mind if I do, Doc. I've been feeling pretty down.
He says, reaching over to flick open the cabinet.
Your lockpick makes quick work of it. You slide the door open and find a very unusual looking substance. You're expecting to find red juice, adrenochrome, the things that Francis the hobo told you he gets on the regular. Instead, the top shelf of the cabinet is filled with vials containing a viscous, chalky, black, ash-like substance. Each of the vials is marked danger. Dangerous chemicals. But they don't remind you of any chemicals, any drugs you've ever seen before.
Danger chemicale. This shit must be imported. Fuck it.
He says, stashing the vials in his bag.
By this point, the Scorpions have completed their patrol. Azure and Charlie emerge from the bushes while Frank arcs back and the glow in his eyes flickers back on. Azure and Frank, you see that PU has unlocked one of the consultation rooms, and you can hear him whooping for joy as he rifles through something on the other side. Danger chemicale, he calls out. Any of you heard of that?
No.
Sounds dangerous.
It should be harmless enough, he says.
As he walks out, he's twirling. He's twirling a vial up in the air repeatedly as he's catching it.
See this shit? It looks like pink glass, but not pink.
Do I recognize it at all?
Go ahead. You can make a knowledge medicine check, or you can make a knowledge streetwise check. Meanwhile, back in the atrium, the pile of ash around the TV jiggles and dances as if being blown in an invisible wind. And about 60 seconds later, Charlie steps out into the corridor whole once again.
That was terrifying, Charlie. Are you okay?
You're fine. I think PU would like it.
I'm gonna need like a few tubes of super glue. Jesus.
So we probably don't want to hang around too long. And I got 11, by the way, on my
11?
knowledge. I know nothing.
You look at it. It has the consistency and colour of ash, but as you shake one of the vials in your hand, you swear you can see something. It's almost like dirt riddled with microscopic insects. You can see particles of it dancing, jiggling, and not just because of the force of you shaking the vial. It's almost like the substance within is, in some form, alive.
We can pawn this stuff off as... how many vials did I get?
Yeah, 8 of them.
Hey, if we can pawn this shit off as dirt's worth $3.50 a vial. That's good money.
That, and then I look at Charlie, and I'm like, I don't think you want to eat that.
Yeah, we'll put it off for now.
You also might want some more super glue if you do.
As a side note, Dale described them as 6 bodies put into 24 vials of nano-infestations. What I heard was 24 vials of nano-infestation grenades. I reckon we go and check out that cold storage.
Yeah. The atrium's no longer being patrolled, so PU gleefully leads you all to the opposite end, to the cold storage. There's a big metal door, thick like a bank vault door, and there's a gleaming neon sign above it reading "Cold Storage, authorized personnel only."
Are all the doors like solid, no windows or anything in the doors that we can?
Yeah, every door you pass by, they all appear to be solid, thick metal, just dug into the concrete block. It doesn't look like this is a building in the traditional sense. Rather, you get the sense that all of these rooms and corridors are simply carved out of the raw concrete.
Frank, real quick, you still got that clamp, buddy?
Oh.
Frank pulls open the brim of his jacket, revealing the clamp still there.
If you don't mind, but
lock the door.
Yeah, would you be able to lock that door for me there? It's letting in an awful draft, and I'm feeling very chilly.
The door out to the waiting room that the Scorpions pass through.
Yeah, that the other half of the enemies are sitting behind.
So Frank, if you'd like to use the clamp, sort of wrap it around the back of the door and make a blockade so the Scorpions can't come back through on their patrol, I'll ask you how you would like to do that. Do you care about how much noise and damage you make?
Well, it certainly doesn't want to try and make much noise. And you know, if people want the door sealed, he's gonna seal the door.
All right, I'll go ahead and make a strength athletics check for you. D20 plus 5. That's a 24. So
Nice.
Frank, you take this clamp and you bend it, like tie it into a knot, like winding it through the handle of the door and up around the door frame, and then you pull it as taut as you can. And the door will not
taking up braiding and weaving. I might make my own bullwhips.
Certainly good at it. So the door to the cold storage doesn't have any sort of handle or lock. A solid slab of thick steel, and right next to it there's a little control panel with a terminal screen. There's a message blinking on the screen. Employee, register thumbprint.
This is more, you, Chrome Dome.
Yeah.
He
I'm
says
gonna have
in
a look and see what I can do without. Yeah.
he throws
See if I can hack
her
it.
an electronic lockpick to help out, if it would.
Well, it is an electronic lock, so if you want, you can get to work on the door itself. Azure, there is a little jack-in port on the underside of the terminal. For emergency admin access, you presume.
Right. I'm an admin. I'll have a look at that.
Unsling your cyber deck, extend the cord, and clunk, shove it into the hole. And as soon as you do, the atrium and the bleak concrete walls and PU leaning over, soaring into the door with his electronic lockpick, all dissolve into nothingness, and you find yourself once more on that familiar, endless expanse that is cyberspace, this endless plateau that stretches on for infinity, data packets streaming past you at blinding speed. There's a single node for this scanner. All you'd have to do is get into the node, flip a 1 to a 0, have it register you as a friend, and bingo, you're in. The problem? The node is locked down tight. Intrusion countermeasures swarming around it, taking the form of deep crimson bees buzzing in a swarm. What
Alright.
would you like to do?
So what does that mean for me? Like, do I need to fight them in some way?
You study the swarm buzzing around the node. And what's your knowledge?
+2.
+2. You think of a couple ways you could get around this. You could brute force it. You could inundate the node with garbage data, essentially wiping out the countermeasures by just bombarding them with an endless stream of data. But this will likely be noticed. The other alternative you have is to selectively disable elements of the swarm, one at a time, make your way through, but this will be a time-consuming and potentially dangerous process.
I think I'd go for the time-consuming. Like, what sort of time-consuming? We're talking minutes?
I would say it'd take a couple minutes as opposed to just an instant blasting them with garbage data.
Yeah, I'd like to be a bit more subtle, so we'll take a couple minutes.
Right.
And if P, you can get it open with the electric lockpick in the meantime.
Go
Well-
ahead and make a knowledge technology check, and you may use your I'm in feat for this if you like.
I shall.
I rolled for PU's knowledge check to use his electronic lockpick.
How did you go?
I got a 19 total.
19. Well,
With a 17
Oh,
on mine.
This shit is rookie stuff. They had this back at the chop shops.
so, taking your time, Azure, you selectively snipe at the swarm effectively. A single stream of garbage data, a single bit at a time, one by one. Individual bees in the swarm shiver and break apart into streams of data dissipating. This reduces the security level on the door and allows you to get a bit closer to the node. You can continue at this, getting access to the node itself, or you can signal to PU that the security's currently tied up, and with his 19, that should be sufficient to get the door open.
Yeah, I'll be doing that one.
That said, if you do progress further to the node itself, there might be pay data waiting. There might be information about the facility.
There might be a way to unlock the rest of the doors.
Perhaps.
That's true.
You might find a secret formula for their new soap.
What about the crab?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll PU about that one.
Oh, all
Who would
right,
put
all right.
soap data in the door?
I might signal to PU that security's distracted, but give me a minute longer. I'm having a closer poke around.
Go ahead, make me another knowledge technology check. The DR for this one will be 14, slightly harder.
Am I still not under pressure?
You're still not under
use my
pressure. You can still use your feet for this one.
That'll be 20, 30.
Nice.
20, 30, nice. Continuing on. You snipe one bee and then another, slowly thinning out the swarm, and now you stand before the node, the big, gleaming, throbbing data node. There's still some countermeasures left, but enough of them are gone that you're able to easily slip past the ones that remain. All you have to do now is gain access to the node, but you have to do it quickly. Are you game?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Knowledge technology, the DR for this one will be 16. And once again, your I'm in does count. No alarms have been
16,
set
you
off.
say?
Yep.
Right. I do still have one glitch if I need it. 16, you said? I just got an 18.
Let's go.
You step
Well done.
forwards, holding out
I
your
mean,
hands,
it's so useful.
pressing your palms into the orb itself, feeling the streams of data shoot through your fingers, up your arm, and into your cyber deck. There's a lot you can do. You have admin access to the security system. You could unlock the doors, you could lock the doors, you could prime the security turrets in the server room and in the lab to either fire at the employees of this facility or completely turn them off.
I think if I can interject, if I may please.
Yep.
Surely, Azure, you're going to rickroll somebody.
That's an option too. You could have
I will
Never
set
gonna
that
give
as,
you up.
at a timer. So,
Never
you know,
gonna give
it'll
you
go
up.
off when we leave.
bursting through the PA
Yes,
system.
that'll just burst through the PA system, and like the video will show up on like every screen.
Every screen, every ad bot that's scurrying around,
Yeah,
every
yeah. all the big
ad
glowing ones
flyer.
outside as well. Everything,
Perhaps
but on a timer when we get
you
out.
rigged that up. You set it for an hour. You shouldn't be here much longer than that, you think. In an
But I would also
hour,
very much like to, at the very least, disable, like, and give ourselves a clear run to the server room. We want to go anywhere else?
well, you do have access to the cameras.
Clear our security. Sorry, say again?
You do have access to the cameras if you'd like to take a look.
Yeah, might take a quick peek.
You prime the server to unleash Never Gonna Give You Up in an hour. Hopefully when you're on your way out of here, all of the PA systems in the facility will burst to life. And Never Gonna Give You Up
It's gonna be real
will
embarrassing
ring
if we don't
throughout
make
the
it out.
facility. But you take a quick look through the security cameras. There are at least 2 turrets in the corridor leading to the server room, and another above the door of the server room itself. There's a second turret in the lab, which doesn't have camera access, and a third turret in the corridor, right, keeping careful vigil over what's marked on your blueprint simply as specimen storage. These rooms do have camera access, and so you give in to your curiosity. You swipe aside a glyph and tap into the camera, and your RCD fills with a live feed from the 2 specimen storage rooms. They're not specimen storage rooms. They're prison cells.
Is there a
And
a
indeed,
young lady?
there doesn't appear to be any young lady, at least not the one that Ermac is looking for. But the specimen room on the left is currently occupied. 3 people, an elderly-looking man, a middle-aged woman, and a young child, a boy of about 7 or 8. Each of them dressed in drab grey jumpsuits, sitting on the floor of the empty concrete room, dejectedly staring into space.
There are prisoners here. The specimen room is not this. Well, that's a dark thought. Maybe they are the specimens.
Told you couldn't trust doctors.
I'm starting to believe you.
I will convert the rest of this party into grime monkeys just yet.
I presume you'll want to turn off the turrets?
Yes, I'll turn off the turrets. Are there any other cameras around, like in the corridors? Can I see if there's any?
There don't appear to be any more
Guards around.
patrols. In fact, the building appears suspiciously empty.
I hate when you add the word suspiciously.
Is anybody
are-
going to give Frank any instructions?
There is a feed out to reception in the waiting area, of course, and they're bustling with activity. There's a nurse manning the reception desk, a couple of doctors. The waiting area is filled with 6-7 people waiting to be called into consultation, but the staff-only areas, there's just the auto turrets and nothing. And yeah. So you quickly disable the turrets and then yank the cord out, feeling your stomach lurch as you're dropped back into meat space. Just as PU feels his electronic lockpicks find their mark, and the great metal door to cold storage shudders and slides open.
Was I able to unlock any other doors while I was there?
You were able to unlock the door to the server room. You tried to unlock the door to the specimen room, but found that they seem to be on a local lock. The server room is the only other secured door. As the door to cold storage slides open and PU happily steps inside, Frank comes around the corner. And does anyone have any instructions for Frank?
Hey, big guy. You said something about prisoners? You might want to check in with her about, helping them. It's your thing, isn't it?
Can Frank see any prisoners?
Can't see any here. Not in the atrium. They're way down in the intestines of the building.
Did anybody give
prisoners-
Frank that information?
I have specifically told Frank to ask Azure about it.
What do you tell Frank, Azure? Choose your words carefully.
Yeah, I know. We'll make a stop as we're leaving the server room. We have some guests we may want to pick up on the way out and see to safety. On the way
Okay.
Seeing PU move into the cold storage room, Frank, you all see the white, thick mist billowing out through the doorway. And Frank, it's very obvious that it's cold in there, and as far as you know, PU's still feeling a bit under the weather.
Pick him up and cuddle him.
Aw.
Frank follows PU into cold storage, and
What the fuck is all this? Oh,
Charlie
these are
and
gnarly. What? Oh, Frank, come on!
Frank gives PU a big squeeze and then carefully sets him down. Now the two of you are in the cold storage. It's a long, rectangular-shaped room. The walls are almost entirely taken up by rows upon rows of metal shelving, lined with glass canisters and little freeze-dried specimen containers, and each of them contains a ghastly array of very obviously human body parts: hands, legs, fingers, toes, intestines, livers, a heart floating in formaldehyde in one corner, and at the very back of the room, mounted to the wall, there's a canister with somebody's head floating in it, eyes rolled into the back of the sockets, mouth open, tongue lazily lolling in the liquid.
Whoa. Yo, Azure, can you get a facial scan on this guy? You got a missing persons report you can pull up?
Yeah, is that a thing I can do? I'll have a look.
You sure can.
through Police reports, I guess.
So you move towards the canister and see this head just staring dead-eyed, unknowing at you. Go ahead and make me a knowledge technology or knowledge streetwise check.
Or technology. Ooh, that's 12. Just.
You fix the man's face firmly in your RCD, and a list of names appears in your HUD, scrolling until finally your RCD chimes and a single name is highlighted. Joseph Sinetti, reported missing about a month ago, last seen in the vicinity of the Melt.
Now, to my understanding, Dale, a lot of these folks come up from the hills, right? So there might be a mighty nice cred bounty on someone who might, have a lead that leads to, I don't know, bits and pieces about where he went or where his head is, or,
Sure thing. Only problem is, the canister appears to be quite firmly mounted on an iron rack hanging from the wall.
Is it secured mechanically, like with bolts and such?
Bolts? Well, no, it looks more like it's sort of built into the wall itself. You could probably get it down, but it would require... Well, the quickest way would be brute force. The other way would be to completely deconstruct this portion of the wall. Or you could simply find a way to open the canister and let the head out.
I don't want to do that because I know you have nano-infestations in this room entirely.
You said let the head out.
Yeah, I don't
Not
want to
take the head out, let it out.
I don't want a thing situation where it grows spider legs and crawls at us screaming.
radio star killer. Charlie, can you get the dog to scrape this off the wall?
Sure.
Rusty
Why would you
looks
wanna
up
do
at
that,
you.
He's probably worth something. You know, the hill folks like to know where their folks go. They're not like honest street folk like us. When someone doesn't show up for a week, they're probably dead. We know they're in a gutter. We move on, you know?
Indeed, Azure, it says right here on your RCD, Sonetti's family posted a bounty, 2,000 creds, for credible information leading to his whereabouts.
Ooh.
Well, that is definitely worth. Do we
What-
take
Well-
him, or do we just collect evidence that he is here and pass that on?
So what I'm hearing is we get 2,000 creds. We have a slowly defrosting nano-infested head, which is going to fuck over some hill folks. It's a win-win.
What were you saying, Charlie?
I'm already infested, so it doesn't really matter if I get sick. So if you guys just want to leave the room just in case, that's fine. But do we have a jar I can put this in?
Oh,
He's
the
in a jar.
room's- He's already in a jar. He's in a big jar.
It's just that the jar is bolted to the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And sure. Go ahead, puppy.
Fine, says Rusty, tilting his
Aye.
head, looking a bit uncertain about this.
Before leaving the room, though, Piyu is going to hold up one of those Danger Kamikalis up to one of the nano-infested body part jars and see if there's any reaction as he clinks the two pieces of glass together.
Charlie, I was going to ask you to roll me a knowledge mechanics roll to detach that head, but as PU produces one of those vials of the black ashy substance, instead, I will ask PU to go ahead and roll an agility check for me for initiative.
Oh shit! I didn't unlock any of them. They're still in the tubes.
I think it's gonna do it on its own.
Oh shit! Okay. I rolled a dirty 20.
Dirty 20, you get to go first. You notice, PU, as you fish one of the vials out, hold it up. Whatever's contained within seems to suddenly come alive with activity. The black, ashy substance within dances in the air as if it's being buffeted by wind, but it's still in the vial. And then, in the canister, Sonetti's head moves, his eyes jerk, looking towards you. His tongue retracts into his mouth and his lips curl into a smile as the folds of flesh dangling from his neck part, revealing long, black, spindly spider legs. He grits his teeth as he rams his head, his eyes glowing bright crimson, against the glass of the canister. Once, crash! Twice, crash! And a third time, smashing through the glass, spilling noxious smelling chemicals and formaldehyde all over the floor, and then scuttling towards you with its spider legs. What do you do, PU?
First of all, I called it. Second of all, Pew's fuck, oh no. And Pew's going to stash the vial and rip out the smart guns and just fucking belt bullets into this dude's head.
Yeah. Go ahead. Roll me your attack.
Plus agility. Ooh, I'm going to use
Frank
a glitch.
get in the way of the gunfire?
Yeah, why would you want to do that though, Frank?
Frank is yelling, he's just scared. And he's going to try and catch the little head
As
and
it
calm
scuttles
it down.
towards- Calm it down, sure.
Can I pull my shot then if Frank's stepping out? I don't want to shoot my big buddy.
I'll give you a choice. You can pull your shot, or you can try to shoot around Frank, like aim between his legs as the thing scuttles forwards.
Can I see that Frank is trying to catch it?
Yeah, you see Frank sort of stand forwards, he holds out his hands, and he says, "Come on, little fella, come on."
Fuck, it's worth more. It's worth more whole.
P is going to stash the guns, pull out his crowbar, and try to fucking gulf swing this thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Roll me a strength check.
Not good at those. Let's see. Call that. Ooh, I'm going to use a glitch to drop the DR by 4 to make that essentially a roll of 15.
Roll a 15. Yeah, that's a hit. Go ahead. Roll the damage.
I just need to see what a crowbar does for damage, excuse me.
I think it's a D6.
D4, in fact.
D4, yes. It's not really a weapon, but...
Yeah, but PU's trying to, like, maneuver it back to where Frank can grab it. Maybe take out one of those spider legs. Call that... Oh my god, I'm rolling terribly in my D4s tonight. I'll call that 1.
1 point of damage. You feel your crowbar strike something, but rather than hitting the head or indeed doing anything to it at all, you seem to have just scraped the tip of one of the spider legs. The mouth opens and silently laughs at you as the eyes flash, and the spidery legs carry the skittering head out of the trajectory of your crowbar and under Frank's legs. Frank, what would you like to do?
Frank is convinced that he would be terrified if somebody cut his head off and put it in a jar. And so he is assuming that the head is coming towards us because he wants to be rescued. And Frank is going to tell the head, "We're here to rescue you, little buddy," and hold out his hand to pick him up.
Frank, make me a presence check. And you may add +2 if you have either persuade or intimidate.
I don't believe I have either of those, and
presence. What's your presence? And I'll roll it.
That would be -2.
-2. That's a 6. As you hold out your hands and sort of coo at the head.
I'm gonna glitch it because I like the idea of Frank having a pet head. He is going. I want to return this guy to his family.
I'll glitch it, and
glitch it.
With a glitch, that'll be a 13.
Ooh, well done.
You see the thing's eyes flicker, first red, then cold blue, and its mouth open, frozen in a sinister grin, laughing, falters. For a split second, you see the mouth twist into a frightened "oh." And I'm going to roll a morale check for this monster. Unfortunately,
it's about to become our pet.
Unfortunately, I only rolled a 5, which is one short of its morale of 6.
Can I make it re-roll with a glitch?
Unfortunately, you can't use them on enemies. And so, for a moment, it pauses in its tracks, just staring up at Frank, and whatever humanity still remains in this head, perhaps that last shred of Joseph Sinetti, whoever he is, pushes at the surface, trying to get through, neurons firing in his brain, reminding him of who he once was.
And I'm going to help him by gazing into his eyes and start crooning, "Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you."
The eyes flash as the frightened "oh" once again forms into a sinister smile, and the skittering head continues on. Azure, what would you like to do?
So does it look like that just failed?
It looks like whatever Frank nearly calmed it, he seemed to cause something to awaken in it for about a second, and then it was gone.
Do I know, like, I kind of have a feeling nano stuff is not something that I can hack.
No, it is not,
Right.
unfortunately. So how nanos work in this world is, you'd think nano means nanobots, but actually it doesn't. See, some point in the past of Psi, an incident happened in the center of the city, creating what is today known as Ground Zero, and that's That part of the city's cordoned off. It's blasted by radiation, post-nuclear waste. And that's where the nanos came from. After whatever happened in Ground Zero, after the incident, the nanos became a part of life. No one's sure whether they're biological, if they're even alive at all. No one's sure if they're of this earth, if they're aliens, or simply products of whatever terrible thing happened in Ground Zero. So, seeing the head scuttling under Frank's legs and making a break straight for the door of cold storage, what do you do?
Can I sort of run past Frank and try and like kick it away from the door at the very least?
You sure can. Go ahead and make me an agility roll, and you can add +2 if you have acrobatics or athletics.
Do not. That's a natural 1.
Natural 1. You run. Do you want to glitch it?
I don't know. Like, do I know that something terrible is going to happen to me if I?
No, it looks like it's going to get away. It just looks like it's just going to skid past you.
It's just going to get away.
Yeah.
I want to save my glitches for later.
You rush out to kick at it, and as it scuttles past, you slip on some of the pooled formaldehyde and gunk on the floor. You slide forwards and your foot hits one of the canisters about 10 centimeters away from the scuttling head. It opens its mouth and throws its head back in silent laughter as it continues scuttling to the door. And then, Charlie, what would you like to do?
Distract it.
Distract it? How would you like to distract it?
I'm gonna get, like, Rusty to go over and try and play with it.
Go ahead, make me a knowledge mechanics check.
Well,
12. Ooh, yeah, definitely. That's enough. Get him, boy! You point at the head, and Charlie skitters forwards, his mouth open. Yeah, and Rusty skitters forwards, his mouth open. Bark, 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 bark. What are your orders? To kill it, or to merely play?
play and pick it up.
Play and pick it up. So Rusty chases it down, corners it just as it's about to scuttle through the door, and then he opens his mouth, and knowing that you want this thing alive, he doesn't chomp straight into the head. Instead, his teeth chew into one of the spindly spider legs. He lifts the head up, its leg dangling from his mouth, and he looks at you with a look of obvious glee on his face just before the spider leg is ripped from the rest of the head. He deals 2 points of damage to it, and the head drops onto the ground, the rest of the spindly legs quickly righting it as it flips itself the right way up. And then it's its turn.
Has it slowed down at all?
It has slowed down. It's missing a leg, but now that Rusty's tried to pick it up, it doesn't look happy. The sinister smile is twisted into a scowl of anger, and its eyes flash bright red as it gazes directly into yours, Charlie. Charlie, go ahead and make me a defense roll.
Oh,
D20
no.
plus agility.
How's a 7?
7. Would you like to glitch that?
Kind of like I have to.
Yeah,
to
I
you.
don't think you want to get bit by this thing.
More nano powers.
Yeah, I don't want more nano powers. I'll glitch it.
Go ahead.
How's a 21?
21 passes. Its upper cranium seems to throb, vibrating, as its eyes flash red, and it blasts a ray of nano energy in your direction. You throw yourself to the floor as the eye beam shoots over your head and chews a chunk out of the concrete wall behind you, kicking dust up into the air. Its eyes glimmer as it looks back towards the room, scuttles back through the door, and sets its sights on PU. PU, make me an agility check.
No. That's going to be a 22 total.
22. You duck as once again its eyes flash red and the nano beam shoots across the room, sails over your head and hits a glass canister behind you, spilling an arm and a liver and what looks like two very blue eyes onto the floor in a torrent of formaldehyde. And then for its third and final attack, it sets its sights on Azure. Go ahead, Azure, make me a defense roll.
13.
13. Its eyes glimmer, and the DR on its ocular ray is 14, so I'll offer you the chance to glitch if you like.
Yeah, alright. I'll use it. I'll use my last glitch to lower the
DR?
Keep
And
calling
you
it
pass.
DC. DR. Yeah.
The beam misses you by about half an inch, ripping one of the freezer doors off a specimen container, and 4 human ears tumble out onto the floor. Then, PU, you're up.
You said it ripped the lid off that container?
It sure did, but none of those body parts appear to be moving, thankfully.
Oh, good.
Okay. Now, if I may, the way that this cold storage works, right? Would it happen to have, like, I don't know, like liquid nitrogen running through a tube above our heads anywhere?
Yep.
Or...
There's a big pipe running across the roof of the room, and you can see the label there. CO2, do not touch.
And would this spidery foe happen to be below-ish this tube?
He's scuttling around on the floor, so...
Yeah, fuck it. Watch out, folks! P is gonna pull the trigger on his smart guns, releasing a hail of bullets into the CO2 as he takes a wide berth back to try and spray this nasty little critter with frozen CR2.
Yeah, make me an agility check.
I'm going to use a glitch to lower the DC by 4, my last glitch, taking it from a 10 to an effective roll of 14.
14. You cock your gun and fire straight up into the air, bullets riddling the pipe as spurts of white mist shoot down, spraying the room. And I would like everybody in the room, that is everybody except Charlie, so PU, Azure, and Frank, to make agility checks for me to dive out of the way as liquid nitrogen begins to flood the room.
I rolled a 19.
Ew, that is not good.
You can have
19?
a glitch if you want it.
Oh, thank you. Please, I'm gonna re-roll with that.
Last glitch of the night.
Oh, yikes. That's still not great. That's an 11 total.
You want
If
another
I
one?
roll,
11.
if Frank rolls high enough, can he knock PU out of the way?
Yeah, alright. What's your agility, Frank?
+1.
+1.
I haven't been doing great at my agilities tonight. I have a +3 to that, too.
Hey, Frank, guess what? That was a
What?
nat 20.
Oh, nice!
Oh, yeah.
So as Frank goes to hit the dirt, he grabs PU by the arms and just pulls him down as mist floods the room. Charlie reaches in through the door and Rusty barks as you grab hold of Charlie's hands, Rusty's legs, and they yank Azure out of the room as Frank scurries through the door, dragging PU behind him. Mist fills the cold storage behind you, and then you see Sonetti's head scuttling out of it. Icicles dripping off its skin and off its legs as it just freezes in place in the doorway. The rest of the CO2 continues to spray for about another 10 seconds until finally the pipe is emptied and all is quiet.
You know, Frank, maybe your hugs aren't so bad.
You all right there, little buddy? Sorry I landed on you.
No, you did good, Frank. Good job, mate.
Sonetti's head, spider legs attached, sits in the doorway of cold storage, completely frozen solid. Behind it, the cold storage room is an utter mess. Formaldehyde and other preservatives frozen solid on the floor, splattered on the walls, icicles dripping from the shelves as all of the specimens, the ones that weren't immediately frozen solid, immediately shrivel and putrefy before your eyes.
Grisly stuff.
Pew's gonna reach for the jar that had those human ears in it, probably like tip it upside down so the jar of frozen formaldehyde drops out and shatters on the floor, and then he'll scoop up the head in the jar and lid it.
Slide it in. You snap off do you snap off the spider legs, or you just sort of like bundle them together and then push the head down?
You ever put a cup over a spider, but it goes wrong and one of the legs get caught at the edge of the glass? Yeah, like that.
It's still not fully thawed out, but it's thawed out enough that the tip of the spider leg struggles, pokes, and it takes you holding the lid down and then Frank finally to come over and just press his palm down on it. Not so much screwing the lid on, but fusing it into the jar itself, and the head is sealed. And then, before you have a chance to process what has happened, an alarm klaxon begins to ring, filling the atrium. Wap, wap, wap. Containment breach. Wap, wap, wap. Containment breach. Wap, wap. One of the speakers on the wall above you crackles with static, and then a voice, smooth as butter, sinister and cold as ice, fills the atrium. We know you're there, Shortfall Collective. This time, you won't succeed.
Oh.
You've walked straight into our trap.
Oh.
This is what you get for crossing the Church of the Fideistic Transformation. You hear a loud click, and above you, a panel in the roof slides open, revealing a long metal grate. There's a hiss.
Frank is going to put a metal plate or a trash can up over that grate and seal it.
Up over that grate. Frank, there's a trash can in the atrium, but the courtyard with the trash can is...
what about a metal
distance.
tray?
Metal tray. Alright, Frank, let's roll in agility, and I'll add your athletics. So your agility is +1, your athletics is +2. Let's go for it.
Could one argue that a panel or a patch of some, taxi could possibly cover that up?
Yeah.
You could also just rip the door off the cold room and put that up there.
Oh yeah, Frank definitely could do that.
What would you like to do, Frank? What's the object of choice?
Well, I mean, in the short term, he already had a thought, and I should go with what was my initial, even though a much better idea was had.
Frank having a thought. Yeah, go with that. Once in a lifetime.
I mean, he did have a thought, and he was trying to be useful, so that's what he's going to try and do.
Yeah,
Even
once-
though a much better idea was had.
Once he has
someone
his
else.
mind made up, there's not much you can do to dissuade Frank.
So what do you use at Frank? The door, a trash can, or the patch of Axie on your back?
I was going to use... I mean, the trash can is like a metal can, right?
And you could just like crush it like a big drink can up against the grate.
Given that I am a technical bot, is there any possibility that I have an inbuilt blowtorch?
A mining bot? Go ahead, let's roll a d20. 50-50 chance.
Because if I have, I'm just going to weld the thing onto the... and steal it.
You are a mining bot, but unfortunately, your job was to break rocks and carry things, and they never installed the blowtorch module into your frame.
Wait,
So
would
everybody
Rusty?
sees me
Yeah, I was gonna
try
say.
to do it.
Yeah,
and
Rusty
then
could. Rusty
Okay.
can do it. So Frank, I'm going to roll an agility check to you to see if you get it up against the grating quick enough.
I love the mental imagery of Frank just bending down and grabbing the dog in the metal trash can, shoving the metal trash can roughly against the roof and giving the dog a gentle squeeze so it produces a flame, and then just securing it to the ceiling.
That'll be a 19 for Frank as Frank rushes forwards, grabs a trash can from the courtyard, and as the gas begins to fill the room, as the air in front of you begins to grow blurry and very wavy and shimmery, Frank presses the trash can up against the grate, pressing the underside of it so hard that he sort of crumples it like a drink can, pressing it against the grate. "Go!" shouts Charlie as Rusty opens his mouth, barks, "Woof, woof," running up Frank's back, crooning from his shoulder, his tongue whirring as the multi-tool begins to spin. And last roll of the night, Charlie. Knowledge mechanics. The DR for this will be 16.
Got this.
Oh god. I'm so glad I have glitches left just in case.
So many glitches. It's wonderful.
Well, up until next session where we don't have any glitches, but
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to
you're
use a glitch
recharged.
for that one.
what did you roll, Charlie?
I rolled a 10.
Ooh.
You're gonna have to glitch.
How's a 16?
Let's go!
Just what you needed.
Oh yeah.
The little multi-tool that sticks out of Rusty's mouth opens. A blue flame begins to flicker, and Frank holds the trash can in place as Charlie creams his neck and welds it into place. You can smell the gas. Sweet, fruity, earthy. It's utterly horrifying to PU. It smells too chemical, too clean, nothing at all like urine. Your vision is starting to waver. You feel your limbs starting to grow heavy. Azure, you stumble forwards, exerting all your willpower to not topple face first to the ground, and then suddenly the hissing stops. Bark, 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 bark. Rusty wags his tail happily, and you're safe.
Thank goodness our two robot compatriots wouldn't be affected, but for the
alarm.
first time, PU is affected by a smell. He is reeling.
You look over at Azure and she's wavering on the spot, and you realize, PU, that you're about a second away from falling face first into the dirt of the courtyard. You pull yourself back up to a standing position, shake your head, and force your faculties back into operation. The klaxon continues to ring, and somewhere to the north, you hear banging as the scorpions ram their bodies against the door, still sealed with a clamp. "Mark my words," says the voice on the intercom. The Shortfall Collective has robbed us for the last time!
And
That's where we'll end this session.
Fantastic.
At least they don't know who we are.
Very true. Yeah, they didn't get us on like cam. Oh, they might have got us to the security gate, but still.
You do not level up. You will level up when you complete this job, but it isn't quite complete yet. And so that's where we leave you, trapped between a rock and a hard place. The facility on high alert.
We've still got the thing we came for to do. We still have to do that, and then we
still have to get into the server room.
Maybe want to do something about these prisoners, but
still have the prisoners.
Running out of time.
And all the while,
The party.
the Church of the Fideistic Transformation, convinced that you're working for the Shortfall Collective, will stop at nothing to see that you do not leave this place alive.